This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Many, Mickey, Fishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
I like him. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me. I like him.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
All right, welcome once again to the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I am Rich Craich, alongside, as always, King of Banter, very good family man, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's up?
How are you?
I'm all right. Fine.
You don't sound fine.
That's all right. It's just, I was getting bored of everything.
Bored of everything?
Yeah, just life. Just life in general. I'm bored of. I just want to go outside and see people again, but that's all right.
You can go outside.
I mean, I'm outside a lot. I'm outside all day, but, get bored of looking at my own yard, working on that. And
I really don't understand your fascination with yard work. It just speaks to different personalities. Like, one of the last things on this planet I would ever be compelled to do, like for pleasure, would be yard work. But you genuinely enjoy.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
You've got the green thumb, Rich. Isn't that what they call that?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah. It's So I've always been into it. The nurse has now kind of gotten into it as well. Now she's into plant stuff and growing. We're going to live off the land now officially. After this, she has decided we're going to grow all of our own food. I don't know how we're going to get meat. I don't know how that's going to happen, but we have lettuce and kale and peppers and stuff. Yeah, we have accessories to food, I guess, more than food itself. But we'll figure it out.
I got to tell you, that sounds horrible.
We'll get some chickens in the backyard too. I don't think they're legal, but we can figure out a way. Some goats. I wouldn't mind having a goat in the backyard.
I'm a man who enjoys the pleasures of a modern society. I don't know. I can never live that way.
Now you do literally zero yard work, right?
No.
Like literally not a thing, right? You've never pulled it. Like, since you've moved into this house, you have not pulled a weed. You have not mowed a lawn.
None of
You're not out there fucking edging your sidewalk, I'm sure.
No, what are you kidding me?
Like, what's the most yard work you think you have actually hypothetically done?
Nothing.
Like, literally nothing? You're not even a thing? Not even a second of anything related to yard work.
Why would I ever do that task? I have never cut a blade of grass in my time on Earth. That's never happened and will never happen. It's so cheap just to hire a guy. I mean, I've had the same guy for like 10 years. He comes by with his little crew. They've got their gimmicks. They've got their CZW gimmicks. They've got like weed whackers, the whole nine. They do the trimming, the edging. I do a different kind of edging. They go in the backyard with the riding mower. They take care of it in 5 minutes, 10, maybe not 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They don't even knock on the door. They don't bother me. You know what he does? He texts me like once a month with like a total with the dates. And then I PayPal him his money. I've never met the man. Because before he started taking payments on PayPal, I would leave like $60 underneath a rock in the backyard and instruct him, the money's in the back. Take it at your own leisure. Just don't knock on my door. Don't bother me. And we've had that relationship for like 10 years.
Not even a nod, not even a, you're walking by, he's walking by nod thing.
Rich, I don't know what the guy looks like. Like, I know what his crew looks like.
But you're not sure who the ringleader is? You don't know who the leader is?
No, I'm almost positive it's none of the guys that come to the house. Like, I don't think it's any of them. I just don't get that impression. But it's always the same guys. It's been the same 3 guys that come to the house for the last 10 years. One guy hops on the riding mower, which looks like a lot of fun, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying, Joe. It's not bad. I don't have a ride. I mean, I don't have one, but I walk around like an asshole. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
So he does that, and then the two other guys, they're in the front with the CZW gimmicks. They've got like the weed whackers. They go up and down my driveway along the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do like sometimes the weeds come up through the cracks in the driveway, so they'll do that. Oh, and every now and then TLB will be like, tell the guy that I want him to trim the branches on the tree in the front and like the hedges.
Okay,
like
so he's a trim guy too. He can trim.
Yeah, this man's a professional landscaper, Rich. This is full service. Okay, he comes in a truck, with all the because he's got the riding gimmick. So this is a professional operation. This isn't some dopey kid from down the street. I got professionals out here. So and then I tell him, I'll text him. I've never spoken to the man. It's always text message. And now I just pay him through PayPal. So I don't even leave the cash in the yard, But, so every now and then TLB will make a special request. And he's like, sure, no problem. And then the guy will go in the truck and get the Brutus the Barber.
Yeah, the hedge clippers. Yeah, you can need the hedge clippers for sure.
Yeah, they don't have the striped, barber handle.
I'm guessing not. Yeah, I'm guessing they're just, wood handled. But yeah, he could if you want to trick it out a little bit. But that's fine.
He gets the Brutus the Barber beefcake gimmick, and he also gets like this little miniature saw deal. It's like a little mini chainsaw looking thing.
Yes. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, and they just he uses that, and then he finishes it off with the barber shears.
It's called a hedge, but yeah, go ahead.
And then. Yeah, then they pack back up in the truck, and he only charges me like $15 more when they do that. So it's a good deal for me, So he's been charging me $30 for my lawn for 10 years. He never raises the price. I never lift a finger, which is the most important part of this. I don't have to go out there in this Texas heat. Rich, it's like 110 degrees out there.
That does change things a little bit. Yeah, that is a little different. Like, but I mean, I don't mind. I actually enjoy it. But yeah, if I was in like extreme heat, I might consider doing it. But yeah, I enjoy it. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I just like going outside and doing. I'm again like literally the opposite of you. Like, I love being outside. Like, half this day today, I mowed my lawn when I woke up, and then I did my work sitting on the patio in the sun. And you, I'm sure, did not do that. I'm sure you haven't seen the sun yet today. So, if
I went out in the sun, right, after about 15 minutes, I would need to go to bed and take a nap. It just sucks it right out of me.
And that is the heat there is ridiculous. I've only once been in Texas, and I've obviously been to like Florida and stuff like that, and yeah, where it's extremely humid, it really wears on you, man. Like because I sweat a shit ton. Like I sweat a lot. Like I'm sweating right now. Literally, it's like 72 degrees out, in Chicago or whatever. And yeah, it's always been tough for me to avoid just like sweating like insane. And yeah, I remember the one time I went to Texas, I went to San Antonio, and literally within an hour of being there, I already had to like change my shirt. I like sweat through. I wore like a polo shirt because it was like a work thing, and like the polo shirt was drenched, like literally dripping in sweat. And I'm like, my God, why do humans live here? Why are you here? But yeah, so it's all the fun of like, because it's one thing if you're in Florida and you're like, I'll just go to the beach, or I'll just like hang out, or I'll just go to a pool or something like that. But in Texas, you're just like, you're just bearing down on you in the middle of a freaking desert for no reason whatsoever, or middle of a prairie or whatever the hell your area is like. So
I'm in a valley, I think. I don't even know, but yeah, I have no use for that. Like, and you're out there like digging holes and planting flowers.
Oh, I got raised gardens going. Yeah, we got raised gardens. We're planting azaleas. It's been wild over here, man. It's crazy.
I could just pay the guy for that too, though. Like, I don't have to go out there with the little shovel and the little. You wear the little gloves.
I do wear the little gloves. Yeah, they're old batting gloves for me. I don't have like the cool, like cute little like gardening gloves with like sunflowers on them or whatever. But I just I use old batting gloves. So.
You don't have the Duke the Dumpster Drosy glove?
No, well, sort of. Yeah. I have had those in the past, but no, I just use I know the one. I know the exact ones you're talking about, like the old Undertaker gloves. But no, yeah. I just have old batting gloves that I use that have been retired softball batting gloves. I'll use.
Yeah, I thought I thought of something I did yard related one time.
Oh, there we go. We got it. Okay, what do we got?
Well, I got the grass replaced in the front of the house 2 summers ago or 3 summers ago. And when you get grass replaced, you got to constantly water it.
Yes.
So it doesn't die. So for the first 3 or 4 days, I was out there every couple hours, watering the new grass. But then I decided that shit was for the birds. So what I did was I got tired of getting up and getting out of the house every, the guy like, at dusk when the sun goes down, give it a good water. Then give it a good water before you go to bed. Then get it in the morning, like before it's really hot out. And I'm like, if you think I'm getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning every day to water this dopey grass. So I got tired of this real fast. So like the 3rd or 4th day in, I went down to the Home Depot and I got like 7 sprinklers. And I rigged it all up.
That's not a bad idea though. That's all right. I'll let you, because that's a little bit more effort.
It's so much because you really got to saturate that grass like 3 or 4 times a day when it's new grass. And it's just, I'm standing there, and what I was doing was like listening to podcasts while I'm doing it. I'm like, this will help me pass the time. But the thing is, I get tired of standing. Like, what I realized was it's not just the physical act of watering the grass, because that you can make into a fun game. Like, you do little patterns and, you turn it into a gimmick or whatever. You see how far you can spray the hose, like, and still reach the grass. Like, I was trying all kinds of things. Like, if I get a chair out here,
see if you could sit like as close as possible to your house and still spray it. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly, and still reach every portion of the grass. But the yard was a little too big for that. So I was like, fuck this. I'm tired of standing. I'm tired of doing this 3 times a day. So I just bought a bunch of sprinklers, rigged it all up with with some master engineering techniques, and then all I had to do was go outside and turn on the spigot gimmick on the side of the house. And then I just hang out in the house. But the problem with that is I would forget that it was on. Right. And then I would leave it on for too long.
Oh, I did. Like, one time because we have like hydrangeas out in front of our house and they need to get, watered. So I have like a little sprinkler gimmick, like you're saying. And I turned it on one day at 6 p.m. or whatever, put a little note in my phone. Hey, make sure to turn off the sprinkler or whatever. Whose ass wakes up at 8 a.m. driving, pulling out of the driveway for work, and my car gets drenched in water, and I'm like, oh no, like that's not good. And my God, that water bill that I got that month was pretty good. And yeah, the hydrangeas did not enjoy getting watered for 12 straight hours. So
yeah, the water bill, and also 1 or 2 times when I forgot about it, it was like a mudslide in the Himalayas out there.
Right.
Like there's just mud cascading into the street from my driveway. Because you don't understand, this wasn't like 2 sprinklers. I made sure every inch of that grass was covered so none of it would die, because I just spent like $2,000 putting the grass in. So you can't let it die. That would have been a disaster, because then you got to get it done all over again. So, it was a lot of water. But that's the extent of my yard work.
That's not bad. That's better than I thought. That's pretty good. I mean, I do enjoy that your first bit of yard work led to you spending like hundreds of dollars to set up a sprinkler system so you could stop doing it again. But I appreciate that though. That's still a little bit. That's a little bit of effort though. I'm not gonna hate you on that one. That's fine.
When the guy came to do the grass, he's like, "What kind of grass do you want?" I'm like, "Fucking green? I don't know." What do you mean? What kind of grass do I had no clue.
Kentucky bluegrass is what I want, sir. Thank you. Like, yeah, I don't know if I would know any grass. If you told me, "Hey, what's your favorite type of grass?" Green. Yeah, like you're saying, the green one, the pointy edges. I don't know what the fuck you want.
Yeah, I had no clue. There were many options. He had like this little pamphlet with all these different grasses, and then so, of course, I'm like, well, I'll take the cheapest one, right? Because I'm already annoyed that I have to do this. And then he's like, oh, no. Well, you don't want that one.
Away from that. That's great.
Because he's like, that's a bad grass for Texas because of the sun. I'm like, then why are you showing it to me? Like, show me my options. And then he showed me, like, the one grass option for Texas, which wasn't the most expensive, thankfully. But he's like, this is what you want in Texas. And I'm thinking to myself, sir, we could have made this conversation 15 seconds. Instead, we're leafing through a grass pamphlet, and you're showing me grasses.
Well, he thinks you're Mr. Homeowner, and you give a shit. Little did he know that, yeah, there's got to be some way for you to just right off the bat be like, look, sir, I don't give 2 fucks, and I'm never going to go outside to look at it. So just as quick as possible. Just put something down and call it a day.
I don't even remember the name of it. All I know is he was like, this is the one for Texas. I'm like, sold. We could have done this, we could have done this 4 minutes ago, sir. We didn't need to go leafing through grasses that you're not even giving me the option to buy. Because I thought he was giving me an upsell. Like, oh, you don't want that one because I picked the cheapest one. But then he started explaining the Texas sun and the angle of the fucking equator and all this bullshit. I'm like, listen, then just give me that one. Because quite honestly, I'm tired of this conversation and I just want to go back in the house. Is what I'm thinking to myself. There's probably a baseball game on or something. I didn't want to deal with this. But that was it. So no other yard work for me. No, that wasn't me either. Now that I think about it, I made my girlfriend do that at the time. Yeah, because I have this bush in the backyard that we planted to cover like the gas meter because the gas meter was ugly. So I wanted to put like some kind of bush there or something. But I made my girlfriend go out and plant it. I didn't even do that. I bought the bush. Like I went to Lowe's or whatever and bought the bush. I asked the guy, I'm like, how I need something that's going to grow and cover up this gas meter. So he suggested the bush. I brought it home, but then my girlfriend at the time, the ex-fiance, I sent her out there to like dig the hole and shit, and she planted it. But that bush is still out there, and it's fucking huge now, and you cannot see the gas meter. So mission accomplished. George W. Bush style, right? Mission accomplished.
Yeah, oh yeah. Except yours actually was true. The other one.
Yeah, my bush really did grow. So
right.
it's yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Rich, listen, I'm a very lazy man when it comes to physical things. I admit that, I don't pretend to know things. So
was this any different when you were in New Jersey? Like, were you out there? I don't suspect you're out there with a weed whacker when you were living in New Jersey, right?
Nah, I don't do anything. I don't work on cars. I don't do yard work. None of that shit, I don't know. Like, people make fun of me. They're like, whoa, you don't change your own oil? No.
Oh, God, I don't either. Yeah, I don't touch cars. I don't touch cars, man. There's certain things that I don't want to fuck up. And, yeah, cars are one that I'm not even going to touch. Because, like, I know that if I tried something, I'd ruin it, and it would cost me 8 times as much to get whatever I fucked up fixed. So it's like, forget it. I'll just pay some dude $35 to, do an oil change or $19
it's phenomenal.
Or whatever. Yeah.
You pull into the little hooded garage, they do it for you in 10 minutes, and you're on your way. And then you don't have any you don't get your hands dirty, none of that shit. I don't understand why anyone would do that themselves. Why would you take out – it's going to take you twice as long as it takes them, unless you have a pull-in garage where you can go into, like, underneath the car. Like, you got to slide under your vehicle. You're getting all why would you wake up early on a Saturday and do that on purpose? I will never understand, like, the mindset of these people. Like, why would you do these things on purpose when it is so cheap? It's not like it's rich. It's not like it's $300. You know what I mean? It's like $30. It never computes for me. I've never understood that. But now I can understand. Okay, I get working on a car because you could save a lot of money that way, right? Your fucking carburetor blows. The cars even have carburetors anymore.
Dude, you're asking the wrong person, man. I don't know.
Like, your carburetor blows.
People talk car stuff to me and like give me, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They're like, oh yeah, it's an 8-cylinder, and I'm like, I don't care, dude. Like, I'm in the market for like, I'm gonna get a new car somewhat soon, and people are like, oh well, there's like, and I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna walk and be like, yeah, cool, nice stereo, all right, like, does it drive? Okay, good. Like, I don't care. It doesn't. I have no pride in what my car looks like, what's under the hood. I just want it to get me from point A to point B. I don't care.
I have no clue. Honestly, when
sunroof,
I test drive,
maybe. I like that. If I get the sunroof, that's cool. Other than that, I really don't give a shit. It's stereo, sunroof. I'm good. That's all I really need out of it. So
I'm totally with you. Whenever I test drive a car, like, I'll be honest, like, the number one factor for me is, do I feel like I'm cool when I'm sitting in it? Like, does the dashboard look cool like when the lights are off and the lights come on, like when it's dark out? Is there like a sunroof gimmick? Like, you're like, I want to feel like I'm cool inside of it. That's like my number one factor. I don't know anything about fucking, I don't know what good, like, people are like, does it get good gas mileage? I'm like, no clue. No idea. Well, how many miles a gallon you getting? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. Didn't ask. Have no idea. No
4 or 6 cylinder or whatever. I don't even know if those are the right numbers. I don't fucking know, man.
I fill the tank every 3 days. They're like, that's not enough information. I'm like, I know, but that's all I got for you. I don't know. It costs
Well, they do
me.
that, like, if I go, sometimes I go in, like, I'll try to get, like, a new spark plug or whatever, because I'm dumb and I think I should just replace my own spark. I think I can do that. It's, like, the one car thing I can do, and it's hilarious. You go to, like, the AutoZone or whatever, or Advanced Auto Parts or whatever, and I tell them, I tell them my car, and they're like, yeah, is it a 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder? And I'm like, I don't know. Just go out there and see for yourself, man. I don't fucking know, like...
I'm paying you. Get out there.
Exactly. Yeah, you tell me, bud. I just told you what the make is. It's good enough that I know what year and what make it is, but that's about all I can really do for you.
That happens every time I need tires. Without fail, every time I need tires, I go in there and the guy at the desk is like, what size tires do you have? And I just stare. And he gives me like that. He gives me that like he's ashamed of me look.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because it's like, hello, fellow man. Like, let's talk car. And I'm like, yep. Not going to help you here, bud.
Yeah, I got nothing for you, man. You're going to have to go outside.
He wants to literally talk shop with me, and I'm like, bro, I got nothing for you. So it's going to be a one-sided conversation.
There's a good chance, even if I go outside and look at the tire, I'm going to read you the wrong number.
Oh, yeah, I have no confidence. Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is I think I have the right number, and then I'm like, I think, and I never answer with any amount of confidence. And thankfully, they can pick up on that and usually just go, we'll go out and make sure. And they're like, I'm usually right, but I'm like, 4-cylinder. Like, I think they're, these size tires. And he's like, let's go take a look here. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, like that sticker they put in the window at a new car lot. Like, I don't even think I ever look at that. Like, I feel cool inside the car, and then when I go sit down with the guy, then like I'm into the negotiation that I get into. I am so into that. Like, I will sit there and haggle with the guy.
Oh my God, ugh.
I will send him back to his boss 100
That's the
times.
word. Oh, it's so bad. I can't believe you enjoy that.
Oh, I get so into that. We bought a car last year, and I was so excited to buy a car with TLB for the first time, so I could show her my savvy negotiating skills and how Joe Lanza plays hardball in the negotiating room. Man, was that exciting! What a thrill that was. Sending this guy back to the fucking finance room over and over, probably cursing me out every time he went in there. But I got the deal I wanted. Like that, I'll get the two things that matter to me. Do I feel cool inside the car? And I am paying the monthly payment that I want to pay. Those two things are all that matter to me. The rest, I don't even know, so I don't pretend to know, and I don't pretend that it's important. These salesmen, they just talk, and I understand that's their job, and most people care, but I have no clue what they're talking about with any of that shit. A lot of times, you ever get this one, they're like, you want me to pop open the hood for you? And I'm like, nah.
Yeah, they do all the time. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care.
Nah.
So what happened was most recently, Michelle bought a new car, and I went to go meet her when she was already at the dealership talking to the guys or whatever. So I show up, and this guy, he thinks, okay, the dude's here, so let me talk about that. I'm like,
yeah,
he's like, oh, all right, let's talk. Yeah, and he tells me all the specs on the car. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Man.
He probably starts adjusting his belt, like lifting up his feet. Like,
yeah, here comes the hardball. Yeah, here we go. This guy's gonna ask me the tough questions. I'm like, whatever. She probably knows more about it than I do, so she probably worked on more cars than I have. So that's.
Yeah, I think the only questions we asked our guy is, where do we plug in our cell phones?
Right.
Does this have Sirius XM built in? Like, that's what we asked, And, we drove it around the block a couple times, and then it was then I cracked my knuckles and headed in for the negotiation, which is my favorite portion of buying a car. I mean, I've thought about going to car lots and just getting to the negotiation point with no intent of buying the car, just to have that, like, adrenaline rush of being in the negotiation.
Yeah, well, that's actually not a bad idea, because then this guy can give you, it's like, here's my best deal, and you're like, nope, not going to do it, and you walk away, you just leave, you know what I mean? You're out.
Yeah.
That guy's going to be shook for years after that.
I've done that legitimately when I'm looking for cars. I've walked out.
You know what I need to do here? I'm going to actually fly over, because I'm in the market for a new car. What I'm going to have you do, I'm going to fly you over here, have you negotiate with a guy, you leave, and I come in right after that.
Right.
To the same guy, and he's going to be shook, and he's going to want to sell a car right away. That's actually not a bad plan. All right, hold on.
We just quietly switch. Like, I just quietly stand up and leave. You quietly walk in and sit down with your pen. You click the pen, and you're like, give me my paperwork, because I got you the deal you asked for, right? That's what you want to do. You just need me to broker the deal, and then you come in and you physically buy the car. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'd be more than willing to do that.
Let's do that. Yeah, next time you're in the area, we'll or the first time you're in the area. So.
I will risk the COVID.
That's fine. That's good.
And fly to Chicago.
Because I hate that part. That part I hate. I hate negotiating. So yeah.
Come on, that's a lot of fun. What don't you like about it?
I just want to leave. It's so annoying. The worst part is like sometimes I'm just like, whatever, dude, and like they still are like, all right, well, they're like still talking and they're still I'm like, all right, I'm over it, man. Like whatever, let's go.
Yeah, but they always come out with the worst offer on.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'll give them like 1 or 2 times, but then there's like maybe we can do that. Let me go talk to my guy, and I know you're just in the other room like sipping coffee or checking your mail, and I'm like, come on, let's go. Like it could be a lot quicker. It could just let's go. Let's push it. I just like you're 3 hours in, you just want to go home. You're just over it. Except for you apparently love it. So.
No, there's so much you can negotiate, though. I mean, you can get them to come down on the sticker. You can get them to give you more for your trade-in. You can, give them to. You can adjust the length of the loan. You can try to adjust the rate that they're giving you. Try a different bank. Like there's so many.
Yeah, that sounds
angles.
terrible. I don't want to do any of this. So.
Oh, I get into that.
I'd rather plant an azalea bush than do all that for sure.
See that? See, I'm the complete opposite. I'd rather sit in an air-conditioned office and play chicken with another man, alpha versus alpha, and just, see who wins. And it's always me. You know why? Because you always have the power to stand up and walk out. And they don't see that. That's what you have that they don't have. They're going to keep trying to sell you the car. At no point are they going to say, I've decided I don't want to sell you this vehicle. But you can say, I have decided not to buy this vehicle. And you can do the walkout. And my walkouts are never fake. The one fake move I do use is I will grab TLB and say, I'll do you know what? We really got to go talk about it. Can we need some privacy. And I'll take her outside, but then we'll just talk about what we're going to have for dinner. And I'll use animated hand motions. And I'll act like we're going to it, because they're watching your body language when you're out there, So, and then you come back in after the tough conversation with the wife, and it's good to do it as a team because you can have a good cop and a bad cop. One of you really wants the car real bad, right? And the other one's more nonchalant, like, I can take or leave the car. You can't have 2 people who are like frothing at the mouth for the car. You can't be like that, So there's a lot of different techniques and strategies. I really get into that. I'm excited talking about it.
Yeah, I'd rather just like you tell me the price and I just give you the price and I just get the car in like 10 minutes. That would be a lot easier, but...
That's normally my technique for most things, but for whatever reason, like when I bought the house, same thing. Like I really got into the negotiation part of that with the house and with the cars. But when it comes to other shit, like buying the grass for the yard, just fucking give me one. Tell me what I need and I'll fucking buy it. But I don't know. It's interesting. You'd rather go out there and fucking put on your Duke the Dumpster Drosy gloves and fucking garden. And I have no interest in that. Like none. To me, that just feels like work I'm not getting paid for. That's how I see that as.
It's a labor of love, for sure. We'll say that. But, man, we got a lot to cover this week, despite the 30 minutes of car negotiations and lawn talk. Plenty to get to. We're, of course, going to preview AEW's Double or Nothing going on this weekend. We're going to talk about Dragon Gate's King of Gate, AAA's Lucha Fighter tournament, a little bit about the Dark Side of the Ring Owen Hart special that aired this week, and also the Martha Hart appearance on the Wrestling Observer Radio. I believe you listened to that, correct? The Martha Hart appeirance?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
With Meltzer and Jim Valley, you mean?
Yes, yeah. Which it was awesome too. So we'll talk about that. I think it coincides with the Owen Hart Dark Side a lot. But unfortunately, some sad news to start this portion of the show with, as 2 pretty tragic deaths in pro wrestling this week. As Shad, formerly of Crime Time of WWE, he drowned in what was it, Venice Beach, I think, or near Venice Beach in California. Horrible story. About that, and almost on the same day, like I think it was like 10 minutes after the news that Shad had disappeared off the coast, we then heard that 401 Mania's Larry Csonka, who is a long time flagship supporter, flagship listener, Voices of Wrestling supporter, a guy that I know a ton of people that are listening to this have read, interacted with, whatever it is. I mean, if you've read wrestling reviews on the internet, you've probably read a Larry Csonka review at some point, and it just kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. And it was a real big 1-2 punch. I believe it was either Monday or Tuesday when those came out. But maybe let's start with Larry first. What kind of memories did you have of Larry, and how did you sort of react when you heard the news?
Well, I mean, I think I've always said this, and I've said it on the air a million times. I mean, he's the most prolific wrestling reviewer I've ever seen. And he might be the most prolific wrestling reviewer of all time, realistically. There's probably nobody who has reviewed more wrestling matches and wrestling shows than he did. I mean, if there is, I can't think of him. He literally did everything. The big ones like Raw, SmackDown, and Impact. But, he would do Explosion. He would do Main Event. He would do Superstars, 205 Live.
DVD releases that WWE still had. It's like WWE's greatest ladder matches number 7. And there's a Larry Csonka review. You're like, what? Larry?
Yeah. And every New Japan show that streamed on New Japan World, right down to, even if they would do, an ultimately meaningless house show and single cam in some village somewhere with a 6-man tag on top, he'd review it. In the Ustream days, all of those Dragon Gate shows and New Japan shows and stuff that would pop up on Ustream, basically if it was legally consumable wrestling in the United States, he reviewed it. And it's just I would think about just the work ethic that would go into that. In terms of, Rich, when I write a review, and I don't write reviews often anymore, but I used to write a lot of reviews, they take me like half a day. I mean, because I'd be turning them into you. And it's like, it'd be an exhausting process, and Larry was writing like 3 a day for all these, various shows going on. And, he was a different style of reviewer. I mean, it was a very meat and potatoes review, which is why I think it appealed to people, because it's like if you missed SmackDown and you just needed the quick and dirty rundown of what SmackDown was about, or you wanted to know if you were pressed for time and wanted to know if there was anything on Raw or Impact that you had to go out of your way to see, his reviews were perfect for that. And I think that's why they appealed to people. He tell you whether he liked the matches or not, and then he tell you whether he liked the show or not and why. And, they weren't thick, heavy reads. They were to the point. They gave you the information you needed, and they were reliable, like clockwork. These shows would end, the reviews would be up. And as I said, he reviewed everything. And, and he's been doing it. Like, he was part of that first wave of people who were reviewing wrestling on the internet. Back when the quote unquote IWC really was, if you say internet wrestling community now, you sound like a doofus because everybody's on the internet. There is no internet wrestling community. Every wrestling fan has an internet connection. We all have phones in our pockets and we're, constantly connected. But there was a time where the term IWC really did mean a different subsect of fan, when everyone didn't have a personal computer in their house or an internet connection. And he was part of that first wave with your Scott Keiths and your Christopher Robin Zimmermans and your sites like Mikasa and Scoops and all that. And
Angry Marks, I think, was one of them, right? Wasn't it?
And your news groups and things of that nature, where it was your first wave of people who weren't newsletter writers who had a voice. That first wave of internet wrestling fans and who had a voice, and really he outlasted most of those people. But he was from that era.
Right. Yeah. Especially in prominence, I would say, because some of those guys are still hanging around. Like a Scott Keith is still kind of hanging around, but like not that many people, like some of those dudes are still around and still kind of doing stuff, but very few have like the prominence that Larry still had. I mean, he outlived many and became, a bigger deal and stayed a bigger deal than a lot of them as well, which is pretty remarkable.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, number one, that all coincided, the rise of the internet and everything, with what, the Attitude Era. And, when the Attitude Era went away and WCW went away, a lot of those people just lost interest in wrestling and stopped writing about it. So you lost some that way. Others, their writing style just didn't translate to the modern era. I mean, this was a lot of those guys from that era who were writing about wrestling were a product of their time. It was the Attitude Era and South Park and ECW and it was the 90s, and it was way before like woke culture was even a thought, or what anybody knew what that was. I mean, I guess back then you called it PC, but it was different then, and you can get away with more. And these guys were writers that were products of their time, and that writing style just it became passé.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't adjust, they faded away because it just society shifted and changed, and so a lot of them faded out because of that. And then the third factor is, once the Attitude Era ended and WCW went away and everything, it's like a lot of people just lost interest in wrestling. So, but Csonka never wrote in that style, and he was just, like I said, a meat and potatoes review guy. So his style would translate in any era, and his reviews really were the go-to for a lot of people who just wanted to wake up in the morning, see how the show was, and decide whether or not they wanted to watch it or watch certain matches off of it. And Rich, we were getting messages and DMs and stuff from people inside wrestling
Mm-hmm.
who were saying that these were their go-to reviews.
Yeah, that I think was the most incredible thing. Like I know that we had contributors to the website that were like, oh my god, every day I wake up and see what Larry reviewed, or I use Larry as a guide to see what to watch and whatnot, and that makes sense. Like that's in our little circle. That made all the sense in the world that they would go to 411 and they would check out Larry's reviews and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the people that were popping up saying, oh my god, I can't believe he's dead, or and then we saw like a Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens or whatever even tweeting out about it, and it's like we always say that, like you and we tell it to everybody who contributes to the website. Anybody that posts anywhere on the website is like, you probably don't know how many people are actually reading, listening, and watching this stuff that we do. Like, you would be shocked at the amount of industry people that listen to this podcast right now, are in the Discord, are looking at comments. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of them out there, and
laying in the weeds, and you never know it.
Right, and it's always these are moments where it really is like obvious who is doing it, and you see a little bit more of it when something like this happens, and those wrestlers that are connected and are kind of contributing and watching and listening and all that sort of stuff, they start to come out of the not necessarily out of the woodwork, but then they start kind of showing their faces and show their admiration for the work that people do. They can't outwardly every single week, go out there and say, hey, thanks Larry for the review or whatever, but they appreciate it, and they know it, and they read, they're connected. A lot of people think that these wrestlers are all like, thin-skinned losers or whatever. A lot of them read all this stuff all the time, and
you only hear, the thin-skinned ones show themselves is really what it comes down. There's probably some thin-skinned ones who are smart enough not to show themselves, but grumble and
they read it and go, that guy's a fucking asshole. Click out of there.
Yeah, but they're smart enough not to pick that fight.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like, what the fuck does this asshole know? And then he click out of it. So
right, but it's like you're saying. I tell everyone who writes for us or does a podcast for us, assume whoever you're talking about is going to see it, read it, or hear it. Just assume they're going to. It doesn't mean they're going to, but like you're saying, more people than you think will. And when I say that, it's not that I want to take the edge off of what you're writing or what you're saying on the air, but it's just to make sure that you're being fair. Because if you're not fair, then you're giving people a legitimate gripe. Critique is fair game. And most pro wrestlers understand that. And they're not going to get on you for fair critiques, even if they disagree. But it just goes to show, with Larry, I mean, he was even the go-to reviews for people inside the industry.
Yeah.
Because his style was very palatable for that type of consumption of, man, I'm not watching 205 Live every week. I'm just going to see what Csonka has to say. And when he says it's good, then I'll give them my half hour. And a ton of people listening right now can relate to that. I sent a little funny anecdote over Twitter. It's like we've all had that conversation where it's like, you're thinking about whether to watch a show, and you ask somebody, what did Csonka give it? Everyone has had that conversation. And then you go from there. And if he didn't like it, you're like, I'll blow it off then. I'm not going to worry about it. We had a conversation like that in our Slack channel the day before he died.
Yeah.
The day before the man died. We had that exact conversation in our, it's like, and he really And that's where it's like that quiet influence he had. You know, if he gave a show a bad review, less eyeballs were going to see that show because people trusted his reviews and they'd hand wave it. And on the opposite side of the token, if he gave something you don't normally watch a decent review, you'd go out of your way and maybe check out a match or a show that he put over. So, you know, very influential reviewer and, you know, very well liked. He wasn't anyone he didn't feud with anybody. I mean,
no, I think that's actually the most remarkable thing about him is that, you know, 15, 20 years of doing this thing and really nobody has a bad word to say about the guy. And that's, you know, not obviously even before his death, like, you know, go back 2 months ago, there's nobody that's saying, fuck Larry Csonka, that guy's an asshole. Like nobody, and that's impossible. Everybody hates everybody. Everybody hates everybody on this internet. Like you very rarely find anybody who doesn't have a bubble. Like I could, maybe there might be, I don't know. I've never seen it though. I've never seen one person say, yeah, that Larry Csonka guy, what a jerk. I don't like that guy. Like, and that's remarkable. That's unbelievable that he was able to do that.
Yeah.
And navigate these waters. I mean, the waters are ridiculous. Sharks
that
everywhere.
was his review style though. It was just meat and potatoes and to the facts. And, you know, he didn't go on fiery rants to bury things. He just, if he didn't like it, he said he didn't like it. He said why, and he slapped 1 star on it. You know, and I think in the very early days he may have had some disputes with some of those early guys, but you know, back then it was the Wild West, and everyone was trying to top each other and see who could be more edgy, and that's just what the style was back then. So you know that was just a different time, and again, that's why a lot of those guys faded away. You know, because they couldn't adjust with the times, and they couldn't change with the culture and change, you know, with the way that wrestling changed. But he endured all that. And I mean, I know he had some health problems and he had his leg amputated last year. So, and I don't know the details of his death or anything, but I think I read somewhere he had some heart issues too, on top of everything else. But, you know, we communicate with him. I'd communicate with him, you know, through email, you know, a couple times a year, like around match of the year time, because he was our point man for that website. So I would email Larry the ballot, and then he would distribute it to the rest of the 411, you know, wrestling team. And, you know, we'd send a couple emails back and forth, and, you know, we would DM him a little sometimes and just banter with him on Twitter. After he got his leg amputated, I used to break his balls about his leg, and he had a good sense of humor. Like, it wasn't mean-spirited or anything, and he'd laugh about it and stuff. You know, so my interactions with him were always incredibly positive. I never met him. I don't think you met him either. But,
no, never did. Yeah, never met him personally.
But I mean, you know, very pleasant guy, and, you know, just the interactions were always good. He was always one of the first people to turn in a match of the year ballot. I'm pretty sure he was a listener of the show. Oh,
he was. Yeah, I heard from a few people that that said that, you know, one thing that they remember, there was even Jeremy Lambert, who's a writer at 411. I went on they had a little podcast, like kind of a memory to Larry podcast thing. So I jumped on there, and he let me know that, like, he stayed over at Larry's house once, and it was like the middle of the night and he couldn't sleep. So Jeremy went over to the other room to try to fall asleep or whatever, and Larry's like, I can't really fall asleep, but I'll be in this room or whatever. And then Jeremy said he would lay down, and like 5 minutes later, here's you screaming, because Larry would listen to us like in the middle of the night, and he's like, you know, it was cool that, like, Larry liked you guys, but I really prevented me from sleeping a lot, because I was like, Larry, can you turn it down a little bit? Like, Joe's very, very loud. And so no, I don't think he missed an episode, which is pretty remarkable, yeah, and annoyed his friends and family with our voices as well. So. Yeah,
that's great. I mean, I'm glad that I prevented Jeremy Lambert from getting a good night's sleep. That's tremendous news. You know, it's like a lot of times when I meet people at shows and stuff, they'll be like, "My wife fucking hates you." I've heard that like 4 or 5 times. My wife hates you. She's like, the guy with the New York accent that's always screaming and yelling, you listening to that asshole again? I'm like, listen, it's a badge of honor to me. So, so I don't know. Good. I'm glad Jeremy Lambert had trouble sleeping that night. But yeah, he was the first one to retweet, you know, the show every week.
Yeah, early on too. That's what I'll really remember mostly about Larry is, like, when we were still 100, 200 people listening to the show, for some, And he ran a huge website at that time. You know what I mean? Like, he, in no way, shape, or form should have been retweeting these little dopes podcasts or whatever, but he did. He would retweet us, and he would listen to it all every single week and talk to us every single week. And I really do. I think he was a big reason why we grew as much as we did, you know, when we did, because like I said, he ran a quote unquote competing website, a big time competing website, one that wasn't even in our league when we started, and maybe still isn't even in our league considering the amount of traffic they get. But every single week he'd retweet us, talk to us, interact with us, and I was like, dude, what are you like? You don't need to do this. Like, you run a way bigger site that's competing with us, that has podcasts and all that sort of stuff. But that's just kind of the guy Larry was. If he liked you, if he thought it was good, he'd retweet it and interact with you. So
yeah. So yeah, his GoFundMe's doing real well, so that's good.
Yeah. We have, if you want, you can look up Larry Csonka GoFundMe, or at voiceswrestling.com. We have that Remembering Larry Csonka piece where you and I both contributed, and every contributor, or many of the contributors of Voices of Wrestling, all kind of gave their thoughts about Larry, and we have a link in there as well. But it looks like it's going to reach its goal pretty quickly, which is awesome, because he's got a family that he's leaving behind, and that's always the biggest tragedy in these things. So, and
it wasn't a gimmick name. You know, in wrestling, it's tough to tell sometimes. But
from day one, I always thought it was. I remember one time, like, I think early on in the DM, I was like, that's a hilarious name, man. And he's like, no, it's my name. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, no, my name's Larry Csonka. I was like, how? No, your name's not Larry. Like, there's only one Larry Csonka. And he played for the Dolphins in the 70s or whatever. Because I really thought, like, why wouldn't, you know, gimmick names in wrestling are, you know, or especially in the wrestling space are pretty numerous. And I always laughed that this guy chose, like, you know, to memorialize, you know, the 70s Dolphins with his name. And he's like, no, that's my name, man. I was like, oh, all right. Pretty cool name, though. I mean, that's not a bad name. When the name draft comes, being actually legit named Larry Csonka, not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
I wish I was Mercury Morris, though. That'd be a little bit cooler, but that's a cool ass name.
Yeah, that was that's another Dolphin backfield mate.
Yeah, why'd they have like 4 running backs?
Well, it was Larry Csonka, Mercury Morris, and Jim Kick, and another cool name. But yeah, they were all in the backfield together. I believe if they weren't all on the undefeated team in '72, they were all on the team during that era. Like, I don't know if they all played together, and I think they were all on the '72 team though. But yeah, it's a different game back then. I mean, you know, I didn't Bob Greasy throw like 9 passes in that Super Bowl or something?
Probably, yeah.
So you just
let's see here. Let's get the old box score going here. I don't know why I have Bob Greasy was 8 of 11 for 88 yards.
Yeah. And make sure all 3 of those guys were on that team.
Jim Kick, Larry Csonka, Mercury Morris. Yeah. So Csonka actually got the most carries as the fullback. Morris was second, and then Jim Kick was third in rushes. So yeah, they were all there. Csonka attempted 15 rushes that game. Kick did 12. Mercury Morris did 10.
Yeah, they attempted 11 passes.
This is a horrible game. Jesus, 14-7. Good Lord.
That's a legendary Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's a legendary Super Bowl.
Yeah, Jim Kick got a touchdown, and Bob Greasy threw a touchdown too. So good for him.
Yeah, efficient 8 of 11.
Right, that's not bad. 8 of 11 for 88 yards, not bad.
I mean, you know, if you're gonna throw the ball 11 times, 8 for 11, especially if you have that kind of running game. But it was a different game back then. You know, and they had a really good defense. Obviously they went undefeated. They were really good on all sides of the ball. But are you still looking at it?
I closed out, but I can get it up pretty quick. I have it in my.
Paul Warfield was probably the big receiver on that team. Paul Warfield was ahead of his time as a receiver. He was lightning fast. And the thing with Paul Warfield is
he was on the team, yes.
Yeah, so you look at his numbers and you're like, he had 600 yards or whatever, but they threw the ball 10 times a game. You know, so that and they played 14 game seasons. So it's like you look at a guy like Paul Warfield and his numbers don't like jump off the page. But then you look and he averaged like 25 yards a catch.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's actually about what I was going to bring up. So he comes to the Dolphins in 1970, 25 yards per reception. The next year, 1971, he gets 11 touchdowns, 23 yards per reception.
Yeah, and he may have never had like 1,000-yard season, but he was.
He did in 1968 as a Brown, but yeah, that's it. That's otherwise, yeah, 886 yards, 703 yards. Almost on the 71, 996, and then in the 72 undefeated team, 606. Receiving yards. That's nuts. 20 yards per reception.
So it's like you look at that guy's numbers and it doesn't jump off the page, and he probably doesn't have a lot of black ink because they just weren't throwing a lot of passes, in that offense. But super respected. He's a Hall of Famer. He was probably a Pro Bowler every year. He was probably an All-Pro most of the time during those years. And it's just, it was just the style of play, and it wasn't, the world didn't revolve around fantasy football. I'm not trying to sound old. I like fantasy sports as much as the next guy, but sometimes that clouds our vision of what's really going on, on the field of play. It's nobody would argue that Paul Warfield, was one of the greatest receivers of that era and a legitimate Hall of Famer. I mean, you look at the numbers and you might not come away impressed just looking at the back of the football card. You know what I mean? But, what a horrible, line of conversation, because if there was one thing Larry Csonka was probably tired of, it was, is your name really Larry Csonka?
I'm sure. Oh, yeah.
And then here we are talking about the 72 Dolphins because his name is Larry Csonka.
Right.
So, but listen, the man was a Flagship listener. He'd probably appreciate that tangent, because if you're listening to the Flagship from day one and you're listening to it every week, you got to have some kind of tolerance for those tangents. So he may have even been a big fan of those tangents, but look, it leaves a huge void in the space of wrestling reviews.
Oh, impossible to replace. Yeah, he is 100% impossible to replace. And I think everybody kind of knows that too. Like, nobody can match his work ethic. That's a man who literally, I don't know if he slept, he had 30 hours in a day, or so, I don't know what the hell he did that allowed him to review as much as he did. But yeah, one of one. Like, nobody will ever be able to match that work ethic, even if they try.
Forget just writing them all, which is enough of a task.
Watching this
watching
shit. People do not understand that about wrestling reviews. Is that I guess, like, if you only watch like one thing, I don't know, but like the idea that, like, this, before a Flagship goes on, like the 4 days before a Flagship, literally all I do is watch wrestling to get ready for this.
Yep.
That's all I do. And like, he was watching it every day, every second.
Every day.
Main event, 205 Live, Seth Rollins' best of ladder matches, like, anything that he could review. I'm looking at his I'm looking at his his author page right now on 401 Mania. He's got like 30 posts in May alone. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's like,
Impact.
I write one,
weekly Impact reviews.
I write one New Japan review, and I'm like, I'm not reviewing shit for 3 months now. That takes so much out of me. This guy's got 30 reviews in May. An incomplete month.
Those guys were laughing too that he does like Explosion and stuff, and that's pretty funny. But yeah, those guys on the podcast, the ones that work with them on 411, said that like last year, I guess WWE released like WWE 2K19 like match sims or whatever on their website, and Larry reviewed them like earnestly.
Oh, come on.
And it was like 3 stars, slapping stars on like sim matches or whatever. And they're like, Larry, come on, man. Like, you don't have to do that.
Pump the brakes. Jeez.
And then they're reading the review though, but like, because Larry had that hook, they were like, I mean, you give 3 stars to this sim match, and I go watch it? Like,
right.
Like 4.5 stars to this, Ric Flair versus Great Muta match on 2K19. I don't know, maybe I should go check it out. So
unbelievable. Yeah.
But just an absolute maniac.
You can't, I mean, yeah, you can't replace that in the space. And he leaves an incredible resource. I mean, if you want to know how the, episode of Explosion was in 2016, I mean, it's there. So, yeah, just a huge loss and a huge void in the space. And, obviously you feel for his family. Nobody should ever die that young. Terrible, terrible story.
But as we said, again, remembering Larry Csonka is up at voicewrestling.com, and there's a link there for the GoFundMe. So if you have $5, $2, $1, whatever you can contribute, it'll definitely help. And we're getting there. It's very, very close as well. So hopefully it does meet its goal, and we can help that family out a little bit. But another family unfortunately lost a figure this week, or a figure in wrestling history, as Shad. As we mentioned, almost 10 minutes before we heard about Larry's death, we heard that Shad had been missing off the coast somewhere near Venice Beach. And yeah, unfortunately, as everybody kind of suspected was going to unfortunately be the case, and gives a little bit of closure to the family, but still just an awful, awful story, is Shad drowning in the water. But the story of him, that everybody tells, that him and his 10-year-old son were both caught in a rip current, and lifeguards were coming there, and Shad said, no, get my son first. So the son was able to be saved and rescued, but yeah, Shad unfortunately passed away. So it's a really cool story in some sense that, he being a father, sacrificed for his child or whatnot, but just awful because you just wish that he would have popped up 10 seconds later and said, oh, great, everyone's good. But yeah, real terrible story. And yeah, the outpouring of support's been pretty cool as well to see this week.
Yeah, I don't fuck with the Ocean. It's just it's terrible. You don't know when those undertows or those riptides are going to come.
I've been caught in one too. It's terrible, man. I was actually in that area. Like I think maybe even the same. I was either in Venice or Malibu, but really really close to where Shad passed away, and I was doing bodyboarding, and my board got caught in like an undercurrent, and I couldn't reach to my arm to like get it unhooked. And I was just getting dragged in this ground. I was literally underwater for like 2 minutes, just trying to figure out how to get. Finally, I was able to power up enough to take the wrist strap off and let the board go and get up. But it's like, Jesus Christ. I remember in that moment being like, well, this is it. Like, this is how I die. And it's tough, man. I will still go in oceans and stuff, but I'm always careful with undercurrents and riptides because, man, that stuff is just, yeah. I don't blame anybody who says they're not going in the ocean because of those, because they're something else, man.
The ocean's powerful, man. It's like your story that you're telling. And I used to go, my grandmother lived by the ocean, by the beach. And as a kid, obviously we'd go, and I just had a bad experience one day, not even in super deep water. Just, you ever get that feeling in the ocean? Okay. So the waves crash, and then as the water's rushing back, which is what causes these riptides, when that water's rushing back underneath the surface of the water, you ever get that feeling where you're just standing in the water, maybe waist deep, and it feels like the whole world is circling around you, and you get dizzy because the two different motions happening at once, the water coming in and the water coming out. And it's the first time I experienced that. That's the last time I ever stepped foot in the ocean. I'm very risk averse when it comes to stuff like that. And I'm not a huge fan of the outdoors anyway, as we've already discussed. So that was enough ocean for me. I don't fuck with natural bodies of water. I went in a lake once, and, I felt the mud underneath my feet, and it had a little suction effect. You ever experienced that?
Well, a lot of people have that problem too, is if you go into a lake or something like that, you step into the mud and it kind of sucks your foot, and then you feel like you can't get out or whatever. It's also tough, man. It's not good.
And again, it was only maybe waist deep, but it was enough for me. And I got out, and I've never been in a lake again. I have no use for it. I'm too risk averse for it. And it's like, if I must swim, and I swim maybe once a decade, it's going to be in a pool.
Once a decade.
I don't like swimming.
You're something else. You're ridiculous. We are literally the opposite person. I don't know why we do this. Like, other than wrestling, we are like literally the opposite people in the world. Like, I cannot wait. That's why I want. Like, you were like, "Oh, how's things going?" I'm like, whatever." Like, I can't wait to just go to a fucking pool. You know what I mean? Like, I love gardening and pools, and you're the opposite.
Nah, I could take relief.
Like your once a decade pool. So what brings you into a pool then? So if it's once a decade, what? Like, because I imagine you interact with pools more than that, or do the kids not even go to pools or anything?
Well, you just end up at someone's house who has a pool, and maybe you get in. But like, Brittany's parents have a pool, and I've never been in it.
Are you at least a sit by the pool guy, or you don't even fuck?
I'll sit by it. No, okay. I'll sit by it.
Shirt on. I'm imagining the shirt is on. You're not showing the guns. The free gun show.
I don't care about tans or anything. The shirt stays on. I've never been like, oh, I got to get a tan. Like, I've never been a tan guy. No, I'll sit by the pool and interact with people and eat a fucking burger or something. I'm not a complete louse, but I don't know. Like, every now and then I'll hop in a pool. I know how to swim. That's the weird thing too. Like I said, I grew up around the ocean in a lot of ways, and I always swim a lot. I know how to swim. I'm a decent swimmer. I'm not scared. That's the thing. Like, I'm not scared of the pool. I'm just not that fond of it. Now, the ocean, I'm scared of. I'm scared of the ocean. That was enough ocean for me when I got my little vertigo in the water that day. That was it. Same thing with the lake. I'm not fucking with that. That's not how I'm going out. So that natural bodies of water, I'm terrified. That kind of thing. River rafting, all that shit. No thanks. The pool, I'm not scared. I know how to swim. I don't know. It just doesn't do a ton for me. I don't know. I'm just not that into it. I'm not trying to shit on Shad Gaspard here.
No, not at all. No.
I don't know how it turned into me, but I'm not a big fan of the swimming.
Yeah,
but the ocean, I don't fuck with, because And that's why, I mean, this is a young, strong man who I assume was a great swimmer if he's hanging out in the ocean.
Yeah, I think he was living in California, so I'm sure it wasn't his first time at the beach ever. So
what a horrible way to go.
I know, it's awful.
I'm glad they saved his kid. I'm glad they saved everyone but him.
Yeah.
He's the only one who they weren't able to save, and it's just that undertow sucks you out, and like you said, like you get caught under the water. They said in his case a giant wave crashed and took him out, and then it's either neither option's good. He either got taken so far off the coast that they just weren't able to spot him in time, and then his body gave out, or he just got sucked under the water, and maybe you just swallow a mouthful or panic, and then that's it.
It's panic that usually, like when I was underwater for as long as I was or whatever, it was because I was panicking. And now, like after that moment, I know now how to kind of get out of them if you do get caught in them. And it's actually like you have to tell your body to do the opposite of what you want to do, because you want to panic, you want to throw your limbs all over the place, do all that sort of stuff. But you're supposed to do the opposite. But it's like it's one of those dumb things that's like, no one's going to, when you're in that moment, you're not going to think, okay, let me think rationally of how I should do it. I mean, you don't. You especially when your child is also there. He clearly was focused on making sure that his kid was okay, and he was secondary. And that, that's the part that's, both, good and that's the good and the bad of it, is that, he made sure that his son got saved, and he made sure everybody that, could possibly get saved got saved. And unfortunately, yeah, he was the sacrifice, which is just awful when you put it that way. So
the good thing is they eventually recovered the body, which you got to have. I know it'd be hard to ever have closure without the body, for me personally. And I would think that a lot of people are the same way. It's, if they never find the body, it's harder to cope with it. But now at least there's some finality to it, because I think, once 12 hours pass, 24 hours pass, realistically, the person's probably gone. But, to be able to just, if nothing else, have a service with the body, it provides a certain kind of closure for people, as opposed to, man, I'm uncomfortable with presumed dead. I'm just uncomfortable with that. I'd rather there be a finality to it, especially when the odds are almost essentially 100% that the person is in fact dead. So, from that perspective, once we all kind of figured that this guy was gone, you're kind of relieved that they recovered a body 2 days later, or I think it was 3 days later, whatever it was. Just from the standpoint of, okay, his wife and his kid and, whoever else is in his family now have some closure here.
So that was a pretty brutal week in pro wrestling deaths and that sort of stuff. We are going to talk about the dark side of the ring Owen Hart thing, but let's save that for a little bit later in the show, because I think we've had enough. Unless you want to, do you want to? But I want to get to Double or Nothing. Are you fine with that?
No, we should do Double or Nothing now.
Well, we'll get to Owen Hart in a bit. Maybe not start out in the first hour and a half of people dying. Let's maybe,
because the other thing too is the Owen Hart thing's not going anywhere. I mean, if we run out of time, we could always do it next week.
Exactly. Right,
so
right.
All
right, so let's do it here. Double or Nothing going on this weekend. AEW's return to pay-per-view, BR Live, as well as traditional pay-per-view. If you're international, Fight TV has it. voiceswrestling.com/fight. If you want to support us, that's the link that we would prefer you order on if you're an international viewer and going to watch on Fight. But overall, before we kind of go match by match and talk about the entire card, what are your feelings going into this Double or Nothing? Obviously, last year's Double or Nothing seemed like just a huge hype around it, because it was AEW's first foray into pay-per-view, their first big show, and I think we both really came away loving that show. This year, obviously, with the circumstances the way they are, I think it's always going to be tough to match what you did last year. But what do you think overall of what they've done so far in the build, and what's your anticipation level of the show itself?
I think there's a lot for us to learn here in terms. Okay, so their last pay-per-view, people generally universally agreed that they had this tremendous build. And what was to be learned was, okay, if AEW has a tremendous build for a pay-per-view, what will that mean for their pay-per-view numbers? That's what we were going to learn with the last pay-per-view. And what we learned was it didn't really mean that much. They did the same 100,000 pay-per-view buys that they always do. So the learning experience that we're going to go through this weekend is, because I think they're kind of limping into this thing. I have not been a big fan of the last 2 weeks of TV.
I would agree. Yeah, I'd agree.
And on top of that, we obviously have The Thing. And we have the empty arena questions and all that. So I think when you combine all of that, what we're going to learn with this pay-per-view is, okay, are those 100,000 hardcore AEW pay-per-view buyers going to be there literally no matter what? In a, like a global pandemic is something we would use as an unrealistic, what if scenario, but we're really in one. We're really in that unrealistic what if scenario, on top of the fact that the build wasn't very good. So to me, the deck is stacked for what you would think would be a pay-per-view that does very poorly. So what this pay-per-view will tell us is, if they do the same 100,000, or if they do, I would say, anything north of 80,000, then what that tells me is AEW is going to do a minimum of 100,000 pay-per-view buys no matter what. And that's just their hardest. They're the hardest of the hardcore. There's 100,000 of them. They're into this promotion, and they're going to buy these fucking shows no matter what the scenario, because they do not have a hot world title match. They did not have a hot build. We have record unemployment rates and empty arena wrestling and everything else. So that, I think, is the most interesting thing from a business aspect, is we are now going to learn just how dedicated those 100,000 people are that buy every single show.
Right, we talked about a few weeks ago if we expected there to be those people that are not, that aren't wrestling fans or kind of casual wrestling fans, if they're going to come in droves, that they're all going to say, hey, I got nothing going on Saturday, I'm buying this pay-per-view, I'm watching this thing. And I think when we talked about it maybe a month or so ago, I think I don't know that we really thought that was going to go. I kind of thought that there'd be probably less people due to everything going on in the world and spendable income and that sort of stuff between people. So I kind of thought they might be down a little bit, whereas you said you thought they would kind of stay within the 90 to 100, or you kind of assumed that they would. I think there's absolutely no chance in hell, especially, and we said it even at the time, we thought it would be really, a real success if they could get 20,000 to 30,000 people that don't watch wrestling normally to consume this show or buy the show or whatever. I think that's next to an impossibility at this point. Do you feel that there's been any sort of casual fan hype to get, do we expect this thing to do anything more than it's not going to outbuy Revolution or All Out or any of those shows, right? It'd be complete. I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned if it did.
I'd be very surprised. Look, we have two test cases. WrestleMania during the thing didn't seem to have less hype than usual. If you look at Google trends and just general buzz and things like that, it seemed like people were just down on the idea of WrestleMania, and it just didn't. It was flat and a dud in every respect. But then UFC 2 weeks ago, clearly UFC fans were hungry for some live sports and a pay-per-view, and they did tremendous numbers. What was it, 700,000 buys for that pay-per-view, and over 1 million people watching the prelims. So obviously, you would think that Dynamite, this AEW pay-per-view, the closer comp would be WWE, right? Because for whatever reason, other things have done well on television during the thing, but empty arena wrestling is clearly turning people off. So you would think that WWE would be the better comp, and that maybe interest would be down for this show. But, I made my official prediction behind the paywall, and I just, even with the poor build, my gut is still telling me that those 100,000 people are still going to be there. I feel like their fan base is incredibly loyal, and I don't think the idea that the pay-per-view is empty arena is what's going to drive them away. I think the only thing that's going to drive away those 100,000 are the ones that happen to be in rough financial shape. Mm-hmm. So that's why when I slapped my official prediction on it, my gut is still telling me they do the same business. So I'm saying somewhere between 80 and 100,000 in terms of buys, because I'm leaving myself a little bit of wiggle room for people who simply cannot afford it, who want to buy it.
Right.
And a little wiggle room for people who maybe get together at parties and buy it together. You're going to lose some of those too. But I think essentially they're going to do basically the same business. And I think anything over 80 is the same business. I think under 80, now you're talking, all right, something caused them to take a drastic hit. But if this show does 85,000 buys, I mean, I think that's essentially, I mean, you're just losing some people because they don't have fucking jobs. But I think that those people are watching every week, and I really don't see the UFC number really changed my perception in a lot of ways, because that was really an eye-opener. That tells me, that kind of, to me, put to bed this argument that the entire country is broke and pinching their pennies and getting ready for a depression. That's not what people told us 2 weeks ago at UFC. They told us that they're going to spend $60 plus for, and it wasn't even like a huge UFC. It was a big one, but it wasn't like a huge one. And it still did a tremendous number because people were hungry for some sports and UFC.
Entertainment is always like, and this goes back to the Great Depression, when the movie industry boomed or whatnot, is that people have, people that are having issues or whatever, if there's something compelling, if there's some entertainment, that something they can, put on for 3 hours and escape or whatever, they will do it. They'll go out of the way to do it. But like you're saying, empty arena wrestling has been the opposite of that so far, where people have went away from empty arena wrestling in droves.
Exactly. So we know people are willing to spend money, and we know that there's money to be spent because UFC has proven that, right? But the detractor side of this is the empty arena thing, and will that push people away to where it mitigates the idea that people have this fistful of money they're willing to spend to be entertained, but they aren't willing to spend it on empty arena? That remains to be seen. This, like I said, this is the perfect test case. My gut is telling me that the AEW fan base is rabid, and in spite of the, so-so build, which unfortunately the worst 2 weeks of the build were the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, I still think they're going to be there with that money, and my gut is telling me the pay-per-view is going to do around the usual levels. What's your feel?
Yeah, I think when we talked about it a few weeks ago, I thought somewhere between 60 and 80. I think the 60,000, the low end of that spectrum would be, as you said, people that are saying, oh, I don't know about, I don't know financially if I can afford it or whatnot. But seeing UFC, seeing NASCAR, seeing what some of the other properties that have come back, The Last Dance, that sort of stuff, like entertainment wise, if people feel that you're going to entertain them, they are going to go and they are going to support it, even if it's $50, even if it's $30 or whatever. So I'm probably more into the 70 to 80 at this point now. I think it's going to be in that range. I'd be stunned if it was 100,000. I think that's almost an impossibility given the build and given everything that's going on and all that sort of stuff in the empty arena. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I feel like we're probably going to get somewhere in that. I'm saying officially 70 to 80 would be my prediction.
Was the UFC number an eyebrow raiser for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let me know that like it's not just empty arena stuff, because that was empty arena or whatever. It's just that empty arena wrestling is really bad and people are kind of done with it and kind of sick of it or whatever. So yeah, that opened my eyes to say, okay, look, there are people out there that are willing to spend money on things that they think are going to be entertaining. It's just maybe wrestling hasn't presented enough entertaining stuff to that. And again, I don't know if AEW is going to fall into that trap where people are going to say, you know what? $50 for empty arena, man. I don't know if I can really do that. And I don't begrudge them for doing the $50. We talked about it a few weeks ago or whatever. I don't begrudge them for, not changing the pay-per-view price. You got to keep it at that same price. And again, we mentioned it a month ago. There's reasons why you need to do that, and there's financial reasons why it makes sense. But I do wonder if there's enough people that kind of sit on that fence and go, empty arena wrestling, and it's $50. I don't know. And like, I would say if the build was like so good that it was like, no, I need to go see this. I need to make sure I watch this. All your fence sitters were going to say, fuck it. $50. It's 3 hours of entertainment or 4 hours of entertainment. Who cares? Whatever. I'll do it. But I just don't know if the build's lived up to that billing. So I do think that you're going to get a little bit of people that hem and haw about it. And I think most people that are on that fence probably decide to go away. So that's where I would go 70 to 80 or so. And anything below that I think would be kind of eye-opening. And anything above that would just be shocking to me. If it got to 90,000 or whatever, I'd be like, holy shit, that's pretty good. That lets you know that you can literally do anything in the months leading up to this pay-per-view, and it seems like the same amount of people are going to buy it no matter what. So
I think the AEW fan base is also more, I feel like they're more likely to rally around their brand than say the WWE. Because Raw is touching like 1.6 million now. NXT did a 0.13 on Wednesday. Whatever it is about their brand of empty arena, people just do not like it. and Dynamite has lost their share of viewers, but they're still pulling. They did a .28 2 weeks ago, which, that's like, pre-COVID bad week numbers. It's not that awful. It's not like this bottoming out that you're seeing with WWE. I feel like their fan base is more of the kind of fan base that will be willing to excuse circumstances.
Right. Or, you know what, this company, I'm going to support them with my money. Yeah, it's $50, and yeah, $50 means a lot more than it does now, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show my support and do that sort of stuff. Yeah, they've built and cultivated that sort of relationship with a lot of their fans right now, which...
So that's why it's become...
And some people... It's also dumb, too, not to interrupt you, but some people think that that's a negative, which is like, that's what you should fucking have if you're a company. Like... You know what I mean? People are
yeah.
These AEW fans, they react to anything. It's like, yes, that's what you want. That's good. That means they're doing their job. It's like, people see that as a negative. These idiots will buy anything just to support AEW. Yes, good. Business. That's how business should work.
Well, it's built up fan trust. And then when you burn that trust, then you no longer have that. But I feel like they have a fan base, whereas if this were a Ring of Honor or Impact pay-per-view, it's like, to me, it would be completely dependent on the build and the worldwide events. And I wouldn't even factor in but there's sort of this intangible thing with AEW that has to be factored in, because I do feel like their fan base is rabid on a different kind of, maybe not rabid, just loyal. Loyal is the word I'm looking for. There's a certain loyalty that a lot of their fan base has to this company because of what they represent and all those sorts of things. And I think that will make a difference no matter where the number lands. I think there's going to be a portion of the paying audience that is paying not necessarily because they were fired up by Dynamite a couple days ago, but because they're showing loyalty to this, new brand that they want to see succeed. I think there's still some of that when it comes to AEW. So, despite the fact I didn't love the build, I'm still kind of bullish on this pay-per-view because of that UFC number and because of my perception of the AEW fan base.
All right, so let's get into the card itself. On the buy-in, the pre-show, Best Friends versus Private Party. The winners will become the number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Do you think it's time for Private Party to get back up there, or do you like the idea of the Best Friends maybe getting a crack at the championships?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have a good feel for it. I don't know if I would rush Private Party right back into things with getting them back in the mix, and and Best Friends have been featured more. Obviously, Private Party being from the New York area, they just couldn't come.
Yeah, right.
The New York people just could not be there for a lot of the tapings. So Best Friends have been featured more on TV, and they've kind of planted some seeds, and with the Kenny Omega and Nakazawa match against Best Friends a couple weeks ago on TV, with Omega and the Best Friends having some beef. So and look, that could be me reading too much into that dopey little TV match, because it could have just been, look, here's who we have available for TV. We're going to do this little match and never think about it again. But they haven't booked that way. They've kind of, I rant and rave about how great their booking is and the attention to detail in the booking. So I can't really ignore that. So I think
most things happen for a reason. Most things that you see and go, that was interesting, are usually followed up upon, or you weren't the only one that thought that seemed a little too convenient or it's a little too coincidental. So yeah, they've booked that way for sure.
Yeah, and it easily could have been just a dopey little excuse to build to a TV match. That could easily be the case too. But if I'm looking for a reason to pick a winner in this pre-show match, then I may as well base it on something, and that's what I'm going to base it on. So I think Best Friends win.
Yeah, I'm with you for a lot of the same reasons. I also think too with Private Party and just the weird circumstances of if whether they can show up to all these shows or whatnot. And it looks like things are kind of tightening or loosening up a little bit, so they should be available moving forward. But that you got the best friends there whenever you need them. So I think moving forward, I'd have the best friends do it just for now. I think that doesn't mean Private Party's done or they're never going to be back to that point. But right now you have a little bit of more security with the best friends, I think. And like you said, they've been building up a little bit more. As well, so I would definitely go the direction of the best friends if I was picking. But move on here, Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. I don't know if I'm very excited about this match.
Sorry, I had a text message. Very unprofessional. I apologize.
But I mean, it's Dustin Rhodes, Shawn Spears. So I just thought you said you were basically giving me silence because you don't care or you never thought.
No, I wasn't doing a gimmick. Brittany's 98-year-old great uncle tested negative for COVID, so that's the text.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Good for Bill. They tested him 3 times too.
That's good. Well, that means it's pretty good because. I
they
wouldn't trust one test, but yeah, 3 tests, that's pretty good. So
they tested him last week and he came up negative, but then he still didn't feel well and he went back to the hospital. So they tested him a second time yesterday, and then they tested him a third time today. And now with the third negative, they say they're not going to test him anymore.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
The only issue there is her mother is in constant contact with this man, because she takes care of him. He's 98. So her mother has been staying at a hotel for the last week. So there's all the drama going on in my life.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah. Actually, weirdly, as we bring this up, now it was a few weeks ago, or last week, I think it was at this point, Michelle was taking care of somebody at the hospital, and her unit was a COVID unit, and they've switched it. Now it's just back to a normal unit again. So now she's there taking care of people without the full protection and all that sort of stuff that she had when they were a COVID unit. So she's taking care of this guy that's on a ventilator and he just had a heart attack, so he can't really breathe or whatever. So she's taking care of him. He's on a ventilator, so there's just air pumping through the room and all that sort of stuff. She's about to leave and they go, "Hey, did you know your patient, he tested positive?" And she goes, "Oh, good, great. I was just in his room for, 8 hours today. That's perfect. That's great." So then she didn't feel good over the week, and it could have just been allergies or whatever. Luckily, she did get tested, and it was fine. But she told the person at work that, "Hey, I took care of that patient that tested positive," and they suggested, "Okay, when you go home, can you sleep in your garage? Is there a way that you can come in through the back door and never see your husband and never see your dogs or whatever?" Yeah. So she calls me and says, "Hey, do you not want, they told me that I can't see, that I got to live in the garage or I'll live in the back room," and I'm like, no, whatever, I'd rather." Get it and see, I was just she was really "Well, I don't want you to get sick." And I'm like, "I know, but I don't want you to get 14 days. We can't have you live in the garage."
You're
get out of here. I'm not going to go to, she's like, "Well, I can go to a hotel." And I'm like, "That's ridiculous." No, come on. I mean, care.
Geez, what are you, 35 years old? Or something?
Well, Jesus Christ, I'm 33. Jesus.
Oh,
35. Get out of here.
You're getting antsy over 2 years.
Because I used to make fun of you for 37, and now,
Yeah. And you that's how you're getting old, when you get annoyed over 2 years.
2 year difference. I'm like, "Hey, 33, Joe. All right, not 35.
You may as well be 35. You're probably going to turn 34 in a couple months or something."
No, I just turned 33. Get out of here.
So it's the idea of being 35 though was so offensive to
horrifying.
you.
Oh, jeez, my heart hurt just hearing that.
Yeah, well, now you're walking in my shoes, buddy. But but the point here is I see what you're saying. You're a man in your 30s. Even if you get it from her, you may even be asymptomatic. I mean, the chances are, it's the odds that it would greatly affect you are so minuscule. So it's no, do not live in the fucking garage. Come in the house. Let's just live our lives. So I totally get that standpoint. But the nurse is okay, which is great.
Bill's okay.
Rich is okay. Uncle Bill is okay. Brittany's mother gets to go home now. So, everybody's okay from that perspective. What the hell were we talking about?
Is Bill going to watch Double or Nothing? Is he a Graps fan?
Uncle Bill, but he's hating his life because he's a huge baseball guy.
Oh, yeah. It's rough. Who's his team? What's his team?
When you're 98, you don't have many seasons left. So to lose a baseball team,
right, exactly, yeah.
And, I'm not trying to do a bit, but you got to be thinking about that. I mean, I count backwards and I'm like, how many baseball seasons I got left? Let me see. He's 98, he's never espoused an affinity for a particular team.
He likes the game. He just likes
He just,
He likes
you
the
go
hard
in there.
ball. Yeah, that's
He's got ESPN on. He's watching baseball. The guy loves baseball. What were we talking about here?
Unfortunately, we're talking about the Dustin Rhodes, Shawn Spears. So.
Oh yeah, so they hastily set that up on TV this week. Shawn Spears basically said, "I want to wrestle the guy." Did you see this segment? Like, he says, "Did you see it or no?"
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, "I want to wrestle Dustin Rhodes," and then like Jim Ross books the match 30 seconds later.
I don't know what was going on with it.
What the fuck is that? Like, so then they go back to the commentator table.
We also don't need this match. I mean, this show has a lot of matches on it. We really don't need Dustin Rhodes and Shawn Spears.
Yeah, and then Jim Ross is just like, "Well, we may as well book it," and then there's a graphic all ready for it. I mean, I can suspend my disbelief, but it's like, it got booked in that 10-second period, and they had the graphic put together, all because Jim Ross says, "Well, we may as well do it then if he wants it," and it's like, all right, so we've got Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes, the match that nobody wants.
I wonder if he's going to hit him with the bricks. Shawn Spears is in the crowd with those bricks. I wonder if maybe he'll bring him to the ring. And
yeah, maybe. I think.
Who cares? No, don't say anymore. What else are you going to say? Just let's move on.
I mean, okay, but there was something interesting. Like Shawn, okay, I can make this interesting. So Shawn Spears was going on and on about how he's been racking up wins, and he feels like he should be close to the top 5. Because he's been beating jobbers every week on Dark and on Dynamite. So, okay, so do you think? And I'm trying here. Granted, I'm trying hard. Do you think this is a way to get Shawn Spears a legitimate win, to sneak him back into the top 5? You throw him in at number 5 next week or whatever, and then to set him up to be Cody's first challenger if Cody beats Archer. So
yeah. Oh no, for sure. Yeah. No. And that's what I think is that like they've kind of stumbled upon him, having a little bit of a win streak here, beating, a few dudes on Dark and on Dynamite or whatever. And then, yeah, he beats Dustin, and then he's kind of back in there. He's got, a win streak going. And for sure, Cody beat him in the first round of the tournament, the TV tournament, or the TNT tournament. So, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that Spears will go on a little bit of a run, and, yeah, he's the first challenger for sure. No, I think that's 100% why this match is happening. I think they just kind of said, hey, you know what? Let's start building for the future. Okay, Spears on a win streak, all that sort of stuff. I don't know if they lucked into it or they had this idea, for a while too, but, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that Spears would defeat Dustin and then have the first chance at Cody and of course, lose again, hopefully. But
I think this match is kind of a tip-off. I think if Spears wins, I think that increases the odds that Cody's going to win later in the show.
You're right. Yeah, right. I wonder. Yeah, that'll be interesting because I still kind of think Archer's going to win. But you're right. If Spears wins, it's a pretty natural progression then to Cody being the TNT champion. So.
Yeah, if Spears wins, I'm not saying that it locks it in stone. But I think if Spears wins,
it's a nice tip. Yeah, it's a nice kind of put a pin in it and think about it for later.
Yeah, it makes me sort of think that Cody's odds are now increased to win. So, see, you can make any match interesting, right? You get a look
there
at
you
the
go. See, I would have cut you off, and then you gave this incredible point that's now got us all excited and frothing at the mouth for Dustin Rhodes and 10 guy, Shawn Spears. Anyway, Britt Baker, Chris Statlander, I don't think we really need to preview this too much. I don't think Britt's going to be wrestling, but...
Well, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of conflicting reports. Now I think in the Observer, which I just skimmed and did not fully read, it said something about the status is up in the air. So I don't know, but obviously there's a good chance it won't happen. They built 2 women's matches for this show, and they might lose one to injury. There's nothing you can do about it. What I would not do is if Baker can't go, I'm throwing out the match. What you don't do is throw in Big Swole or whoever the fuck.
Right.
Because now you just have a heatless match that didn't have any build. What's the point? This match had some build and there was a point to it, even though it's an undercard match and all that, and it wasn't going to make or break the show in terms of buys or anything like that. The match at least had some build. I don't see the point of replacing Britt Baker with generic babyface, X, to just have some random match which is really just amounts to a TV match. So to me, you just throw the match out and give everything else an extra 2 or 3 minutes.
I'm right with you. Yeah, if this can't happen, just cut it. Just we don't need this, especially in if it was a live audience, if it's a live crowd or something like that. I absolutely get it, but given the circumstances, given that there are already 8 or 9 matches on this show, that I would just say okay, sorry, circumstances happen. Let's just cut it and we'll just add a few minutes. I mean, it might suck for Chris Statlander or whatever, but again, it's the circumstances are so much more different. Yeah, again, if this was a live crowd, live arena pay-per-view, I'd say why not throw something in there, but it's just there's no point in having it happen on the show then if it's just going to throw
even with a live crowd. I'd throw it out. I mean, why have a match that has no build? You could do the old, hey, listen, how about you could always do the gimmick where Britt Baker comes out on the crutches and brings out like a jabron to replace her, right? And stands in the corner while Statlander squashes her. Didn't Shane Douglas do that with Razor Ramon with Buddy Landel?
He did, yes. I actually watched that on a recent In Your House. Yeah, he the debuting Buddy Landel came in. Yeah, Dean Douglas one of his many, many times when his arm was in a sling. Yeah, he had Buddy Landel be his proxy for him. So I think it was against Ahmed Johnson, actually. So
there you go. I gave you a chance to plug your little. Go ahead.
In Your House, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. By the way, for that one, $5 tier.
I'm a professional, Rich. I find a way to get these things plugged. But yeah, you could do that gimmick, and then like Ahmed Johnson just destroyed Buddy Landel. He beat him in like
20
10 seconds.
Yeah, it was like 20 seconds over and done.
So you could do that here. You could do something like that. But what I wouldn't do is just book another competitive match with someone else with no build whatsoever. And look, there's people that are going to throw a fit and say, they only have one woman's. It's not their fault that this person got hurt. So you got to cut them a break there if they cut the match. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, someone got hurt 3 days before the match. It's bad luck.
All right, so we'll move on here to the next match on the show, MJF versus Jungle Boy. And I'm into this build. I'm into this match. I'm pretty excited about it. But what do you think of MJF and Jungle Boy?
I mean, I heard Dave Meltzer make a case for Jungle Boy winning the match, and no. I disagree. I disagree.
No way at all.
I think MJF should win. I think MJF should continue to win. I don't think MJF should lose to anyone until he's in a position to lose to a major star in a big time main event match. So I think now, do I think MJF could cheat to win this match? Absolutely. Do I think? Because the whole story is MJF isn't really taking Jungle Boy seriously, right? He didn't take Marco's stunt seriously on TV. Now, if you're paying attention to the TV the way you should be, they're foreshadowing here. He didn't take Marco's stunt seriously. And he was slapping him around and making him pick his own boogers and putting him in bear hugs. Mm-hmm. And then the second Marco's stunt got a hint of offense, MJF turned it up and finished him off. And ripped his arm off of his body and gave him the shoulder breaker. And then ripped his arm off of his body, and then knocked him out after the match for good measure. And then cut the promo on Jungle Boy. That's how he sees Jungle Boy. So this match is going to be very similar to the Marco Stunt match, where MJF is not taking him particularly seriously. And then there's going to be a spot in the match where Jungle Boy makes his big comeback, but it's going to be a better comeback than Marco made, because Jungle Boy's higher in the pecking order than Marco is in his own unit and in terms of who they feel can be a future star in every regard. Meltzer's argument is then Jungle Boy should win the match because it's not going to hurt MJF. I don't think Jungle Boy winning the match would hurt MJF either. But I don't see a reason to even fuck around. Like, there's no reason Jungle Boy needs to win yet. I don't think he's ever had a singles win in the company.
Right, and I disagree that hurts, that it doesn't hurt MJF. I think it absolutely does. I think MJF's role, for people that don't, quite have a handle on what it is he is a guy who, in the pecking order, is better than all these little guys. He's better than all the undercard guys. He's better than a lot of the mid-card guys, but he's not as good as Cody. He's not as good as the top guys. So he's a cocky asshole against the little guys that he knows he can beat and he can beat the fuck out of. But then when he's confronted by the big dudes, he gets his ass kicked sometimes. And that's what it is. Like that, I like that story. I like that his placing in there is quote unquote upper mid card or whatever. That he's not a top tier guy. That you can't buy that this guy's going to win the world championship or whatever. But that's what makes him so cocky. Is he thinks he's hot shit. So he beats up these little guys. He beats up the undercard guys. He fucks around with these undercard guys or whatever. And then he moves up the ladder. And then when he's confronted with a Cody, if he's confronted with a Kenny Omega or those sort of guys, he loses to those guys, and that's fine. That's a great role and a great spot for MJF at this point.
Or he wins in a sleazy way. because he can't beat them straight
right, because
up.
he knows like straight up he can't beat them, and that's the story.
Right.
Is you're supposed to think this guy is an asshole by saying he's better than everybody, but then he proves that he's better than the little guys. But then when he faces the big guys, he's not better than them.
Rich, you're describing a bully.
Exactly. I don't know why people have so
That's
much
a lot of words.
So much trouble with this. I don't know. It's wrestling. I don't feel so much trouble with this.
Economy of words, Rich. He's a bully. Yeah, so he can push around Marco's stunt and beat him at will. But yeah, you know, when it comes to Cody, he's got to cheat to beat him. He's got to use the ring. He has to use Wardlow. You know, that's the whole idea here. And yeah, I mean, I just don't think, you know, why have Jungle Boy beat him now? I think he should beat Jungle Boy. He should continue to beat Jungle Boy. And then down the line, whether it's 6 months or a year or 3 years or 5 years, when you're finally ready to pull the trigger on Jungle Boy and give him a real push, that's when he beats MJF. And it's a big scalp at that point. And it's a big career accomplishment because MJF has been bullying him for so long. He finally got it done. It's not really all that unlike the Darby Cody story. It's similar, just told a different way, where I was vehemently against Darby beating Cody in that tournament match for the same reasons. Darby should absolutely beat Cody 2 years from now in a huge match that gets Darby over the top as a true top guy. Until then, Cody still needs to find ways to beat him because Cody is just better than him right now. And MJF is just better than Jungle Boy right now. Now, if Jungle Boy gives him a scare and MJF has to use the ring or a handful of tights, I don't have a problem with that either because that fits MJF's character. And that's, you know, continuing to build heat on the character. Jungle Boy was this close to finally getting a big win, and this motherfucker punched him in the head with the ring.
Right, and that's we talk about this all the time with AEW and other booking and other stuff. Is that a lot of people have this brain rot where, like, you know, from WWE, and I don't blame them. I mean, they're 20 years now. WWE's done this, you know, style of wrestling that they're booking right now, but like this stuff is what's great. It's Pro Wrestling 101. Is close, not close enough. Build. Work your way up the ladder. Work your way up the card. That's how wrestling has been built forever. And yeah, why get the Jungle Boy win now? What do you do then? What's the next step for Jungle Boy? You know?
Yeah, because at that point, MJF is going to have to beat him to get revenge because he's the one you're pushing now. So why do all of that? Just have MJF beat him now.
Right, and then it's the idea is Jungle Boy hung with this guy, and maybe next time he'll come get him, and then maybe next time he does go get him. But build future.
Build, because this is the second time now, because they had the one match previously.
Right.
And, you know, and again, Jungle Boy doesn't have any win. Jungle Boy is the one who truly loses nothing by losing.
Right. He's got nowhere to go. Yeah, he's got nowhere to go. I mean, yeah, right.
So, you know, he may as well beat him. And then, I mean, to me, here's what I would do. I hate fantasy booking, but he would beat Jungle Boy. You want to have him hold the tights or put his feet on the ropes? Even better, in my opinion. But he beats Jungle Boy. And then Luchasaurus steps up to him and says, "You're picking on my buddies. Why don't you pick on me?"
Yeah, perfect.
And but then MJF says, "No problem, but you're not wrestling me. You're wrestling Wardlow." Because MJF is scared of Luchasaurus because he knows he can't beat him. It's what you just talked about before. Because then when he gets in there with the big boys, and deep down, he knows he's not as good as these guys. But he's got his muscle. And what does that do? It adds more heat to MJF because he's ducking Luchasaurus. Oh, he'll beat up Marco's stunt and Jungle Boy, but when it comes to Luchasaurus, he puts his muscle in the way.
He's got his heater to go do that, yeah.
And they've been planting Wardlaw Luchasaurus this whole time as well. They had that face-off on TV, which they didn't hammer you over the head with, but was very obvious if you were paying attention. So that's what I would do. He beats Jungle Boy, handful of tights. Luchasaurus is pissed off. He talks shit to Luchasaurus, but then the swerve there is that he's making Wardlaw face him instead because he wants no part of Luchasaurus. That's how I book it.
That's good stuff. Yeah. I'm right with you on there. So, yeah, MJF wins this one for sure. I think. I'll move on here to the Stadium Stampede match. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks, as well as Matt Hardy, versus the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, Ortiz. It's going to be taking place on the Jaguar Stadium out of TIAA Bank Field. I forget I think that's the name of it. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of summed up my feelings behind the paywall. I feel like this is probably going to be a very entertaining match for what they're going for that I am not going to like nearly as much. In other words, wherever this lands with the consensus, I'm going to be below that.
Yeah, Gen Pop is going to think this ruled and was awesome, and you and I are going to be the assholes on our, on our post show, being like, I don't know, I just want wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be cinematic bullshit, but I think it's going to be a lot of like guys throwing each other into garbage bins and guys, throwing each other onto the, the padding of the field or whatnot. And it's like 4 minutes in, I'm just going to want it to be over and go see a wrestling match is what I suspect. So
Nick Jackson hopping off the goalpost,
right? Exactly. Right. Like,
and then look, it's like it's going to be like that street fight a couple weeks ago. I thought that was a fun little match, but that's the extent of it for me. There's a certain limit on that kind of match for me. Eventually I'm sitting there thinking, I just want to watch a wrestling match now. And it's just not my thing. But it'll probably be a lot of fun. I have confidence in the people involved. Like you're saying, I don't think it's going to be cinematic bullshit. I don't think they want to go down that road. I get why they're doing it. It's something different. They have the facility and they're able to do it. I mean, the Khans own all of it. So, they even painted the end zone to save the elite. I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they want in that building. If people think it's great, I'm going to think it's pretty good. If people think it's okay, I'm going to think it was bad. If people think it was bad, I'm going to think it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I just know that I'm going to come in below everybody else.
Any expectations as to who wins this one? Because I'm kind of this is one where I don't know if I have a good read on it because there's so many people involved in the match and there's so many different moving parts that. And again, because of the stipulations it has, it's hard to really say, it's definitely going to be that guy, because it's hard. Like, you can come with a million different stories out of this, but I guess I probably lean towards the elite. Obviously pinning Sammy Guevara probably seems like the most likely scenario, but I don't know. I could see a few different scenarios that this one plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy's always there to eat the fall, and I have no problem with that. I think he's so tremendous in that role that it does not matter. I don't know. I think I'm more interested in the interplay between the Bucks and Omega and Hangman, because they kind of left that hanging when the thing happened. So I'm kind of more interested in that, and whether they leave that be, which tells us that Omega and Page are moving on to, maybe best friends if they win earlier in the night, or if they keep planting seeds in those directions. And maybe this is a longer-term thing where they trade the titles a couple times. So I'm going to be paying attention to that more so than, Jake Hager and Matt Hardy choking each other on the 30-yard line.
Right. God, the one thing I just want out of this match, and I don't know if we're going to get it, I just want to keep the Matt Hardy bullshit to a minimum. That has been the one thing I have really disliked about
I'm
AEW.
glad you brought that up, because we just talked about how we think they'll stay away from cinematic stuff, but I'm not confident that they stay away from that. I could easily see them doing Matt Hardy fucking sorcerer tricks. Yeah,
he raises his hands in the air and 10 drones come out of the end zone, and oh my god, he's assembled a drone army. He's he goes into the end zone and he comes out and now he's Damascus and he's broken, man. And it's just like, ugh, god.
That's gonna lose me. The moment they lean into that, I'm gone. You lost me. They're gonna lose me the second they do anything in that direction, and the match is gonna lose me, and I'm not gonna care anymore. The unfortunate thing about Matt Hardy is, it's like we've said it a million times. I understand why they signed him, and I absolutely would have signed him because I think he's someone who can make a difference for them.
Sure.
But the fact that he's there, it's like, if you're like Rich and I and you're not a big fan of his shtick, you're going to have to live with it now and then. They're going to get silly with him now and then. They're not going to do it every time, but they're going to do it from time to time, and you're just going to have to live with it. It's going to be one of those things that's part of this promotion that you just don't like. I mean, I've accepted that, and this might be one of those instances. It's tailor-made for it, honestly. I think you nailed it, and I hadn't even thought about that, but that could easily be elements of this match that veer in that direction. And once they do, similar to the Money in the Bank thing, where I just turn my I'm out. It's like Shark Tank. I'm out. It just the person. You ever watch Shark Tank? Like the person pitching something.
Obsessed with Shark Tank. Yeah,
I love Shark Tank. See negotiations. See, I don't know why you don't love the negotiations, but I sit there at Shark Tank and I'm like, playing along. I'm like, no, you need to offer that. Like,
yeah, we do the same thing where this guy's like, I'm looking for 10%. Michelle and I are like, oh, you're an idiot. Fuck this guy. Like, tell him no, he's out of here. Like,
but yeah, so there's always that point in Shark Tank where the person pitching makes a crucial error, and Mark Cuban is just like, oh, I'm out.
It's always Mark. Yeah, Mark's like, yeah, I'm out. They're like, what? And they do the zoom in on the guy's face. What?
That's it's like, that's the last thing I wanted to hear, and
you ruined
I'm
it.
out. You ruined it. I'm out. And it's like, as soon as Matt Hardy starts doing his bullshit, I'm Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. I'm out. I lean back in my chair and I fuck around on my phone until it's over, and I no longer care about anything that's happening. So that's how I'm going to play that one. I love how whenever one of the sharks says I'm out, the person's always like, oh, I thank you so much for your time. I thank you, sir. I thank you. What the fuck you thanking them for? You don't need to worry about them anymore. Focus on the other guy now. Bogdanovich or whatever his name is. Like, forget it.
It's not Bogdanovich.
Whatever his name is.
It's not Bogdanovich. No. Yeah, what the hell is his last name? I forget.
See, you're making fun of me, but it's something like Bogdanovich or something. I heard that guy. I was at a work conference. And
Roberts. I forget what the last name is. Robert something or another. But yeah.
I was at a work conference and he was the paid speaker, so I had to sit through.
Hrgovic, isn't it Hrgovic?
Hrgovic, that's the guy. Hrgovic. So
Utah Jazz.
So
small forward.
Hrgovic was the guest speaker, so I had to sit through a 90-minute Hrgovic seminar. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
of him telling all of us why he's so fucking wealthy and how he got there, and I'm just like, this is fucking torture. This is awful.
And so you as like district managers are supposed to be like, okay.
Yeah. Like,
cool.
What does this have to do with me? Like,
right. I'm not going to be able to sell this company, so why are you telling me all this? Like,
right. His seminar.
I have a ceiling. Like, I have a ceiling in this company. Like, there's only so much I can do. So.
Yeah. Like, his seminar should be for the owner, not me.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like, what am I doing? I'm trying to I'm trying to keep food costs down. I don't,
I can't rise up in this company any more than I am. So it's like, what do you want me to do here?
Really? I mean, I've got like one more level I could attain, and that's it for me. That's it. I'm packing it in. This is doing me no good. His keys to success do not translate to me. But, or maybe I just missed the whole theme of it, or maybe it was just bullshit that he gets paid $250,000 to do. Either way, it's very boring. But our entertainment that night, Rich, was Carrot Top. And that fucking ruled. I don't want to hear any Carrot Top slander.
Was he yoked up? Was he yoked up at that point?
This was yoked up Carrot Top.
Hell yeah.
And he had his bin full of gimmicks. Have you ever seen Carrot Top?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got like the bin full of gimmicks, and he's just riffing on the gimmick. Like, it's just, I don't think he has a practiced act. I think he has a framework of an act. But then when he pulls the gimmicks out of the bin, he's kind of improvising as he goes along too, So I don't know. I enjoyed Carrot Top. He was a lot better than Bogdanovich. But so what were we talking about here? The Stadium Stampede match. Yeah. So Hrgovic,
I believe is how you pronounce it.
I still can't say his name.
Someone's gonna correct us because we probably said it wrong. Because it's probably got more emphasis on one of the letters, but who cares?
He was like wearing a stuffed-in ascot too to make it even worse. It's like he just came off of his yacht.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Yeah, his private jet. He was on his yacht, then he, took a jet ski to his private jet and got on the private jet, and then told all you assholes about how you can be successful in life and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
with this unattainable wealth that he has, that there's no 1% of human beings ever even get near reaching, the status that he's reached. And yeah, he's going to tell all you assholes.
Less than 1%.
While you're sitting there like, 0.1%, while you assholes are, getting a call from somebody at your work.
Yeah.
The water's not working. Okay, I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, that's what I deal with.
Right.
I could give him a seminar on how to deal with that.
The cops are here for something.
Joe, the fire inspector's here. Cool. Oh man, is there a problem? No. Then why the fuck are you calling me? Just go deal with the fire inspector and let him do his thing. There's no reason to I can teach Bogdanovich how to deal with that. What can he teach me? But he'll never have to deal with that because he's off on his yacht. And then everybody's lining up after the thing to kiss the ring and shake his hand. And this was in Vegas. I'm looking for a fucking blackjack table the second the guy's done talking. I couldn't have gotten out of there fast enough. But Yeah, that was my experience with Bogdanovich.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it was in Las Vegas because that goes perfectly to the next match here. Casino ladder match, Joe. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but good work there. Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and the dreaded X to be announced. So let's start out first with the TBA mystery entrant. This has got to be a debuting wrestler, right?
I mean, you would think, or it's going to be a massive letdown.
Like, you can't just have, like, you know... I'm just trying to think, like, Alan Engels like comes out. He's like, hey, like...
Alan Engels. Alan Engels. Yeah, you can't have, like, Marco Stunt come out, right? It's just not, it's not going to work. You know, who else isn't booked, though? Like, I don't even think, like, I can't think of anyone. I'm sure there's people that aren't booked on this show, but, yeah, it's got to be someone from the outside. How about a Rusev? Would you pop for a...
I'd pop for a Rusev. Yeah. That's what I wanted. People have, you know, kind of floating names around there. Drew Gulak, Rusev has been mentioned as one.
What's he calling himself now? Milos or Milos?
Yeah, I forget, whatever his real name is. I think he's using that. So that I guess would be one. I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't have a good read on it, and I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know who's. I just the problem is these debuts. I just hate them because it's like, I know how much cooler they would be, but I get that you can't do them. It's like, you know, like some of these guys, like a Rusev, I'd be like, you know what, why don't we wait on that? Well, let's wait for crowds. Or like, I guess Gulak, I wouldn't care that much, but I don't know. It's just any of these debuts, I'm just always thinking, they'd be so much better if they weren't being done, you know, in front of no arena. So I'm always like I'm always a little down on any debuting wrestler right now because it's hard to really pull it off.
What if it's Japanese wrestling deathmatch legend, the Death Dealer Luther?
Jeez. God. That's what I mean. Like, they're not going to do that, right? They couldn't. They know better than that, right?
Yeah, it's got to be someone new. Well, here's the thing. This is for a title match. So realistically, the only person that can win is Scorpio Sky. Or do you disagree?
I guess the debuting guy, I think, could maybe do it too, but they don't really book that way, though. They don't really book that way, though. So,
well, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, so the debuting guy has to be someone that you could immediately put in a title program, or Scorpio Sky has to win the match because Kip Sabian's not getting a title match. Kazarian is not getting a title match. Luchasaurus, Cassidy, Cabana, Darby Allin. You want to make an argument? I don't think he should be getting a title match right now. But Scorpio Sky is someone who they're building up with those personality profiles, and it's very clear he's going to get a singles push. So that really leaves it to the mystery man. And that has to be someone worthy of a title match. If Rusev comes out, that's a man worthy of a title match. If Drew Gulak comes out, I don't know if he's worthy of a title match. Maybe on Dynamite. Because if the mystery guy comes out and it's a big guy, doesn't he have to win? I mean, you can't have the mystery guy come out and lose. I guess you can if they set up a program in some way. Here's the other thing about this match. It's timed entry, and it can end before everybody gets in the ring.
Right.
I love that. But I really feel like they have to establish with the first one that the match can really end before everybody comes out. So I'm kind of hoping that some of these guys are just red herrings and we never even get them in the ring. Like, I would prefer if the match ends before, like, whoever, Colt Cabana enters. Or Phoenix enters, or you want Phoenix, a ladder match, but you get the idea. Because then you're teaching the audience when you have these matches, okay, the order of entry is even more important. Entering last is an advantage and a disadvantage, because the advantage is you're fresh. The disadvantage is you might not even never get in the ring. And entering first, the same thing. Like, yeah, you're going to get beat up, but you could win the match before everybody even gets in. You have more of a chance to win the match.
Right. And like, some people see that as like, oh, that's stupid or unfair. It doesn't make any sense. But I kind of like that aspect of wrestling where it's like, tough shit, man. No, the luck of the draw didn't work out for you. So, better luck next time. I kind of enjoy that. I don't know why. I think we're so used to everything being so perfect and all that and so regimented and so structured that I kind of like the idea. It's like, you didn't make it in time. Sorry.
Well, it's like anything else. It's how well you book it. This concept could be terrible if it's poorly booked, but it could be great if it's well booked. and has been a well-booked company, and I give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think they'll do a good job with this sort of concept. So my hope is that it ends before everybody enters. Do we really need Frankie Kazarian to get in there? No. So maybe you end it before he makes it in. And then make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. Oh, it leads to some really cool spots too, because I can just envision Phoenix is on the top of the ladder about to grab, and then oh my god, Kip Sabian's out, and he runs out as quick as possible and tries to climb up the ladder to knock Phoenix off. That's cool. It's different. It's a different take on the same old multi-man ladder match that we've seen 1,000 times. If this was a ladder match where all these dudes are just sitting in the ring at the same time, and you could close your eyes, you can see exactly how the match is going to be structured, and exactly the spots that are going to happen, and all that sort of stuff. So I like the idea that hey, we're putting a different spin on this, a different take. Like you said, it might be a unmitigated disaster, and they just say, "Oh, that fucking sucked," and we'll never use it again. But I appreciate the attempt to try to make it look and feel a little bit different than your run-of-the-mill multi-man ladder match.
And then in the future, there's strategy involved. Some wrestlers will prefer to enter early. Some will prefer to enter late. The commentators could get into that. So I think it's a really good idea. And I think it'll be a wild car crash in the match. Now, Phoenix, who knows? That him landing on his hip on Wednesday, I would not be stunned at all if he's out of this match. Now, you're probably going to have to kill this man or have him have a broken hip.
Yeah, it's Phoenix. I've seen this dude not be able to put weight on his leg, and then a day later he's out there just doing normal shit. So it's you never know with him.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that looked nasty.
Yeah.
And he visibly showed that he was immediately in pain. So that was ugly. But this is an interesting concept. I'm interested to see the mystery person. It's always dangerous with a mystery person of letting people down. You do have the advantage of this is kind of the advantage of no live crowd, because if it's a wet fart, it doesn't come across that way, because the crowd doesn't shit on it. So you could probably you get away with comedy or something, but I don't get the idea they would go in that direction. I think this is going to be a major player.
Now we have the TNT Championship match, Cody versus Lance Archer. This is the finals of the TNT tournament. Mike Tyson will be there presenting the title to the winner. What do you think of Cody and Archer? And I guess what do you think of Tyson's inclusion into this whole thing as well?
I mean, presumably they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And I guess the idea is he's going to draw some mainstream attention. I haven't seen
a thing yet, man. Oh, when they announced Mike Tyson, I was like, oh, we're going to hear a lot about this from your ESPNs. I haven't seen a fucking thing about Mike Tyson in here. So this may not have been the best investment, unfortunately.
No, I don't see a lot of mainstream attention. It's Friday as we record this. I'm seeing nothing. But, it wasn't worth a gamble, maybe. In terms of the match, I said a couple of weeks ago that this felt like the hottest match in all of wrestling. I think they have cooled this match off significantly in the last 2 weeks. It doesn't feel...
Not to interrupt, I just looked up. ESPN, tomorrow, 7 p.m., are showing 9 classic Mike Tyson fights.
Wow.
So if you're a Mike Tyson fan...
Oh, shit.
I don't think you're going to be watching All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing. I think you're going to be going to ESPN and watching 9 classic Mike Tyson fights.
That's like classic counter programming, but not on purpose.
Yeah, I did not know that was happening. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. That's not good for AEW because
no,
you're definitely not watching Double or Nothing.
Nah, you're going to watch him knock out Trevor Burbick. And,
let's see. We got Tyson versus Alderson, Jameson, Tillis, Richardson, Ferguson, Spinks, Scaff, Zusky, I don't know who Zusky is. Bruno. Oh, so it's like the ones where he's just fucking destroying these assholes. Hell yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. This is going through the whole career because a lot of those are early career fights where he's on the come up. Because the back end of his career, obviously, are the Lennox Lewis fights. Vander Holyfield.
Yeah, the Holyfield and
Razor Ruddock, people like that. When you're getting into the 90s, the guys you're naming are early career destructions where he's just killing people with that fucking uppercut.
Yeah, that's when you could tell that he's just a problem, man. There's just this fat white dude with a mustache, and there's Mike Tyson on the other side of the ring, and this fat guy with a mustache is like, all right, here we go. Let's have a good. And then Mike just rears back, one punch, guy's dead, and it's just like, oh.
Is the McNeely fight on?
It's not. That one's awesome. I wish it was, but
yeah, the Cocoon of Horror. Remember? He was gonna wrap Tyson in a cocoon of horror. Right. Peter McNeely.
I'm gonna win on points. Okay, okay.
Peter McNeely. Yeah, that was wasn't that the post prison Tyson?
It was. Yeah, I think that was either his first or second post prison one. But yeah, I'm gonna work this. I'm gonna work this kid over and win on points. It's like ding, 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 boom, boom, boom. Like okay,
yeah,
never
utter
mind.
destruction.
Never mind.
Yeah, Tyson fights in real time. Like I'm talking 86, 87, and right when he first got on pay-per-view, it was the rare thing where people would spend like $70, $80 on a Tyson fight and not be upset.
Right, that's the thing that was always kind of funny, because if you go back and watch like old WWF or WCW at the time, one of the big selling points is our pay-per-views, you're going to get 3 hours, you're going to get entertainment, it's not going to end in 25 seconds, because that's what every boxing pay-per-view, the joke was, the main event's going to end in 25 seconds or whatever, but people didn't care because they're like, no, it was the best 25, it was well worth, because it was all this build-up, this 4 hours of build-up, all these fights and all these sort of things, and it's Tyson versus whoever, and you're like, oh, dude, here we go. Let's see if he can do it. It was actually, people wanted the fight to be over in 30 seconds. People didn't want a 4-minute Mike Tyson fight. They wanted to see the utter destruction of humanity at the hands of Mike Tyson. So
yep, you were paying to see Tyson destroy someone in the earliest days. Yeah, then when he started fighting, later in his career, those were real fights, and they had intrigue because it was two stars going against each other. But that early career stuff, you were paying for the destruction. So, yeah, that's interesting. I can't think that was on purpose. They wouldn't have any kind of is ESPN in some kind of feud with Turner. I don't think so. I mean, it's got to be happenstance, right?
It's got to be completely accident. Yeah, because Tyson's kind of in the news and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that, I can't imagine they were like, oh, let's counter program double. It can't have been it. It just could have been, hey, we have nothing to and they showed how many more fucking Bulls games are you going to show? How many more Last Dance reruns are you going to show? So you got to dig into the archives a little bit, and Tyson's hot right now. So I see absolutely why they did that. But that's a huge blow. I had no idea. I just looked up Mike Tyson ESPN to see if they had made an article about it, and no, they're instead promoting wall-to-wall coverage of their Tyson marathon this weekend. So not great. I guess you can get the post hype where Tyson knocks out Sammy Guevara or something like that, and you can sort of then post that then ESPN talks about, hey, Mike Tyson was on All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing this weekend, and I guess you can get some publicity that way. But I don't think you're getting any new pay-per-view buys because of Tyson right now. So.
I don't feel any kind of buzz for Tyson is the bottom line here. And as far as the match goes, 2 weeks ago I called it the hottest match in the world, and I really think they've cooled it off. I did not like the Cody angle with the pickup truck where he drove 10 feet and then hopped out of the truck. That's stupid. I mean, it was, and then they had a really bad brawl.
But he knocked over boxes, Joe. He knocked over boxes.
Yeah, and then
because he drove quickly and then knocked over the boxes. So I mean, come on.
That part of it was so bad that everyone's ignoring the shitty brawl that they had. So then I'm thinking, wow, maybe Cody and Archer aren't going to have any chemistry and they're going to have a bad match. So that kind of took the wind out of the sails. But then I thought, okay, next week on the go home, they're going to have a hot pull apart. They weren't on the show.
Yeah, I was stunned that they weren't on the show. I thought I missed something. And I went and rewound. I looked at old reviews and I was like, okay, I guess I didn't miss anything. This is weird.
So, I mean, I really feel like they should have done the Arn Jake thing 2 weeks ago and then did an angle with Archer and Cody on the go-home week, but done a better angle. So I really think they blew the build to that. They peaked it. It wasn't on purpose, but it peaked way too early. And it's really been cooled off since. In reality, Rich, they should have done the Jake angle with Brandy this week. They should have had Jake.
Yeah, that was the heat. That was the real heat. And yep. It's certainly, I mean, yeah, listening to Arn Anderson and Jake Roberts throw, lobs at one another, that doesn't really have me super excited. So
no, they should have done that 2 weeks ago and then built to this week. Like Jake should have been threatening Brandy all along, building to the Arn thing where he threatens her again. And then this week he should have gotten his hands on Brandy and put the snake on her. And for whatever reason, Cody is unable to help because Archer gave him a fucking whatever the fuck move to take him out. Then Jake puts the snake on Brandy and dry humps her. You do that angle this week because you're right. That was the heat. That's the heat, right? They did it almost in reverse, right? They did the old guy promo this week, and then like they did all the hot shit 3-4 weeks ago. So. Weird build that really has sucked the wind out of the sails, but we'll see. I still think it's the match oddly, that I'm still most interested in. So I want to see what they do with this title and everything, and I want to see. But I have more questions about it now than I did before.
Yeah, as far as the winner, I thought weeks ago definitely Archer seemed like the right pick to win. At this point, I'm not so sure. I guess Cody is an okay pick. We mentioned the Spears. He's got a storyline already there with Shawn Spears who can challenge him. I still think Lance is the better pick, and I would pick Lance because I think Lance I think he loses a little bit by not winning this, whereas Cody I think is kind of Teflon at this point, and I like the idea of Cody not being able to win the big one, not being able to win the championship. So I would still side with Archer on this, but I guess I wouldn't be totally upset if Cody won. But I do think also it's a little it's not a direct sort of shot at kind of a negative that Cody can't win the world title but then wins the first title that they announce after that. Like I know some people brought that up, and I don't love it that way. I still probably wouldn't have him win a title for a little while, but I don't hate it as much as some others. But I still side with Archer. I think Archer should get this. I think the title helps him a lot more than it helps Cody.
Yeah, I think there's ways to beat Archer where it doesn't really cool him off. It's all how you do it, and I don't know if Cody. I don't have a problem with either guy winning, but at some point Cody is going to have to win a big match.
Sure.
That's the other thing too. And isn't this really playing out the way we always thought it would way back when Cody said if he lost to Jericho, he would never get to challenge for the world title again? Instantly, we both thought, well, okay, they're going to have a secondary title and they're going to build it around Cody and they're going to make it feel important. And it's going to kind of take the edge off of the idea that he can never be world champion. And that's almost exactly what they're doing here. Like, flash forward a year and they're in position to do exactly that. So there's an obvious argument for Cody to win. And then you build this title around him. And like anything else, if you make it feel important, it'll be important. If you don't make it feel important, it won't be. Now, so there's an argument for Cody. The argument for Archer is he's hot and he's coming into the company. He's destroying people, hasn't really been tested. And, like you're saying, you might not want to cut that off. So I like both arguments and I don't have a problem with either guy winning. It's how either guy wins is what I'm going to be more focused on, to see how the other guy comes across in defeat. I almost wouldn't mind a violent Lance Archer squash and Cody really having to reassess whether Jake Roberts was right all along and whether he really is no match for this guy. And then the idea being, well, and maybe nobody in this company is.
Yeah. That
would be okay. Cody winning an absolute dogfight where he's fighting to his last breath would be okay, because I don't think Archer loses anything in that scenario. So there's different things you can do that all work. That's why, to me, it's the match I'm most interested in and why I think it's the most interesting match on the show, because I want to see what they do with it. And it can be great character development for everyone, depending on how they handle it.
Women's championship match here. No DQ, no countout. Nyla Rose defending the title against Hikaru Shida. Are you buzzed about this match? Because I'm pretty down on the build of this. I think it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the build has been okay in getting Shida to the number one contender spot, because we saw her progression as she won matches and climbed the rankings. As far as, do I feel like there's a ton of heat on the match? Not really. So I think that's the perspective you're probably coming from. Am I fired up about the match? I'm not. I mean, I think Shida should win. But it's not going to bother me if she doesn't. This week was a little weird because of the injury in the match with Rose pinning Shida, but we don't know if that was the original plan. They had to improvise at that point. They're on live TV. I cut them a break. But it's weird where the champion pinned the challenger. But Shida got her heat back with the table spot after the match. But you kind of have to throw all that out. Unfortunately, that's part of the reason the pay-per-view build wasn't great. That's another thing that went wrong. That match just got thrown all out of sync because someone got hurt. Look, I don't know. I don't have a ton of feelings on it. I would prefer if Shida won, but it really doesn't matter. Like, the result here does not matter.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it as well. It's like, I don't know if Nyla's, on her end, I haven't been too excited about much of what she's done. And like you said, the Sheeta Rise has been fine, but it's like, with a lot of this women's division, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, either one could win. Who cares? Like Sheeta can win, and it's like, all right, fine. Now Nyla can win, and whatever. It's hard to really get excited about the booking or really get in depth with the booking. It's like you can flip a coin really, and both ways that you flip it be fine. If Sheeta won this match, okay. If Nyla won the match, okay. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at as well. Let's go to the championship match here, the World Championship match, presumably the main event. Jon Moxley defending the title against Brody Lee. So what are your thoughts on this build, and do we see Brody win the championship here? I don't think so, but I'm curious if you have a secondary thought or think the opposite, that Brody might win this one.
I'd be really surprised if he wins. He couldn't have had a worse go-home promo. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
He was lost out there. He lost his train of thought. He was stumbling over his words. I do think people have been too quick to write him off, because then I'm seeing stuff like, they should have never hired him.
Yes, it's ridiculous. He's been great. He's been great until that moment. One bad moment so far.
And he had a bad week. I mean, calm down. They should have never hired him. He should never lead a faction. I knew he was a mistake. He's no good. It's like everybody's been praising him.
Vince was right.
Yeah, calm down. It's like he had a bad week. I mean, it's a terrible time to have a bad week. And the jury's out. I mean, I'm not saying that, like, it's one thing to be great on pre-tapes. It's another thing to be great on live TV, right? So maybe if I see a pattern of bad live promos from this guy, I'll write him off in the role. But the pattern we saw before this was that he was shockingly great at promos and nobody knew it. So I'm not going to throw this guy out, with the bathwater because he had one shaky promo. I think, but that's wrestling fans. We all have to have takes. I get it, but it's like sometimes sometimes a bad promo is just a bad promo. Sometimes a bad match is just a bad match. And I'd like to see a pattern of shit from the guy before I decide that they shouldn't have hired him. I mean, can we calm down?
Right, but that's that's not a take that's going to get you likes and retweets saying, "Hey, bad week, but we'll see about next week." Yeah, the take is, this guy stinks. This guy sucks.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, it was a horrendous promo, and the thing here is it doesn't feel like the biggest match on the show.
It does, and I think Moxley not being there is an aspect of it, but also, I think Brody's been good, but he doesn't feel like the big title challenger right now, for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just can't put my finger on it. It's like, I like the Dark Orders. I like what he's been doing with the Dark Order. I like a lot of what he's been doing. It feels like it's all happening a little too soon, and that he's getting this title shot too soon. I don't know. Yeah, it's clunky and weird for me right now.
You have to end the show with the Stadium Stampede match. Even if I didn't think it was going to be a bells and whistles match, that feels like the biggest match on the show to me. Moxley Lee feels like the third biggest match.
Right. The go home angle on Dynamite even kind of speaks to your point there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still put Cody and Archer ahead of it. And that's not always a bad thing, to have your world title match not feel like the biggest match. It's a bad thing if you intend it to be the biggest match and it doesn't feel like the biggest match. On this show, I think it was kind of up in the air. Something, certain matches were going to emerge bigger than the others, and it just happened to fall into the third slot. Moxley should win, obviously. I think what we're seeing here is these were the long-term plans, and they stuck to them. Because Lee debuted in Rochester, and it would have been perfect hometown. And I think the idea was they were going to build him up for this pay-per-view. And it may have felt hotter if all of this were in front of crowds this whole time.
Right, or if Moxley was there, half the time, and he wasn't.
All of that. And it's like, I think what we're seeing with Lee is very analogous or very similar to Drew McIntyre. It's like they both got their biggest career opportunities at the worst possible time, and it's hard to gauge where they really are. And we've talked about McIntyre at length. And I think this is a very similar situation. But I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, because of the COVID, I think they're just doing Lee as a throwaway thing. I disagree.
No, this was the plan all along.
I feel like this was the plan all along. I feel like they just stuck to the plan and said, look, we're going to just let the chips fall now and do what we were planning on doing and, not change direction. Because if you just look at his debut and build, it feels like a pay-per-view debut and build.
Right, it should have been that, but like I said at the top, it's just because of the circumstances, it doesn't feel it. You can tell that they definitely, you can tell that they definitely had the right idea, the right plan, the right, sort of steps all there, but the steps just couldn't, and Moxley wasn't there. Whatever circumstances, you don't know about the crowd reactions, you don't know that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think they absolutely, the plan was there. I think the plan was right, but because of the build, it feels all too soon or all too clunky in a way. But no, I think exactly what they were going to do was I think the idea was right and the idea was there. It's just, circumstances led to it not really quite working out, I think.
This is such a match where in another company there would be a temptation for a non-finish. But in this company, they've done finishes, so I'm interested to see how Lee comes across after he loses. Because he has to lose. I mean, I guess he could win, but the point here is someone has to lose this match. And that's why I find AEW so much more interesting than WWE right now, because WWE can always use that escape hatch and take the cheap way out. And this company has not done that at all. It's someone wins and someone loses. And they seem to always have a plan, a follow-up plan for both guys when that happens. And, it feels weird to have Lee coming in so hot. And even my instincts are, you got to have him get DQ'd or something. No, he's going to fucking lose.
Yeah, right.
And then, and that's how it goes. And then we go from there. Or he wins and shocks the world. I don't think they're going to put the title on him. I don't know. I don't think it's impossible, but I just don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think the time is right for that at all. Even if that was the plan, 2 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever, that needs to not be the plan right now.
Agree. You got to pivot off that.
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah.
If you want to do that down the line, put a pin in it, go back to it at some time again, but not right now. I mean, doing big title changes right now, not a good idea. I just think you're going to go down the Drew McIntyre level here. We're going to get just doomed. Yeah, I'd wait for sure.
Yeah, you're perilously clinging to the viewers you have. I mean, you can't do a big risky thing like that, and then people go, "Oh, fucking Luke Harper's your champion. I'm out." Then you don't need people doing the Mark Cuban, "I'm out," like they've done with McIntyre. You even have a fucking test case for it, staring you right in the face. So, he shouldn't win. And you made a great point. Even if that was the plan, it can't be anymore.
No, you got to change.
You got to pivot and keep it on Moxley because Moxley's a proven ratings guy too. So all those things have to matter right now. Yeah, I mean, I doubt Lee was ever the plan, but yes, I expect Moxley to retain.
And that's it for AEW Double or Nothing. Joe, will be doing a live reaction show immediately following Double or Nothing on Saturday. $10 tier, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. So those listening live, you'll get it. You're already on that same tier. But those on the $5 tier, or people that are not subscribed, $10 gets you our live instant reaction immediately following the show. We're going to go on there and we will talk Double or Nothing. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. These are always fun. We have a lively chat room all the time immediately after these shows. So I'm excited to do it and excited to react to what should be a pretty interesting show.
This is big news. Instant reaction. Live. Get into it, Craig.
I'm into it. I'm there. I'm looking ahead here at this other stuff we're doing. I'm looking at the time and look at the other stuff, but I think we're in good shape here for the rest of the show. But no, yeah, patreon.com/Voice of Wrestling, voiceofwrestling.com/Patreon, instant reaction live immediately following AEW Double or Nothing. Like literally the second it ends, we're going to try to go live as quickly as possible. So
if you want our thoughts, I would suggest subscribing because we're not going to do it twice. So we're not going to come on the show next week and, do a full breakdown of Double or Nothing again because we're going to do it on Saturday nights.
Right. It's going to be like our Mania thing where we just kind of quickly, on the flagship go, yeah. Do you still think this? Yeah, you still think this? Yeah, whatever. But yeah, we'll probably react more to the reaction of Double or Nothing, which happens on the TV show this week versus giving their actual breakdown of the show itself. So yeah, if you want that breakdown of the show, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, $10 tier, listen to it live. Will be exciting. And then the replay will be up as well for the $10 members. Because there was some confusion on the last instant reaction we did. The $5 tier, you will not get these live ones. It's only the $10 tiers that get the instant reaction lives. So,
let's do a little house cleaning. Any live show is for the $10 subscribers only. That includes the replays of the live shows. If it is broadcast live, okay, behind the paywall, then the replay exclusively goes to that tier as well. So that clears that up. One other note with the Patreon that I wanted to do every week. I mean to do it on the show. This is only going to take a minute, but a lot of people who have upgraded from the $5 tier to the $10 tier have then lost access to $5 posts, the old $5 posts. In other words, you come in on the 10 tier or you upgrade from 5 to 10, and then you go and try to listen to the old Jovember to Remembers or Kings of the Tokyo Dome, and you're locked out of it because you're on the $10 tier and those are $5 tier shows. That's been happening to not everyone, but a good portion of people who upgrade.
Which is even more annoying that it's not everybody, that it's like 10% of the people have this issue, which is just the fucking most annoying thing in the world.
Right, because then I email support, and because it's not everyone, it's harder for them to pinpoint. But the workaround, which has worked for everyone, is the following. If you're on the $10 tier, you should have access to every single post behind the paywall. If you don't, downgrade to the $5 tier, and then immediately re-upgrade to the 10. You will not get charged again because you've already paid the 10 for that month. Downgrade to 5, immediately upgrade back to 10, and for whatever reason, that workaround has worked every time and has unlocked all of those posts below the $10 tier. So that's the fix. We've been getting a lot of messages. I answer everybody. I walk everyone through it, but this way I can hit everyone if we talk about it here on the show. So that's the workaround. It has worked every time. I haven't had a single person come back to me and say, that didn't work. Now what do I do? It works every time. So do that. If it doesn't work for you, then come back to me and I'll work with you and I'll go back to support. And if need be, I'll give you your money back. That's fine. I don't care about that. Until we can work it out, I'll give you your refund. But that has worked for everyone.
Yeah.
So do that workaround and you should be okay. But just wanted to make quick note of that.
Yeah, and it seems weird because I know people are always apprehensive to do it of like, oh, I don't want to downgrade. I want this. And like you're saying, you won't get charged additional. You won't get charged extra. The downgrade, the upgrade, downgrade, upgrade again. It works every single time for those. So yeah, it seems weird at first. It seems a little clunky. It seems odd, but yeah, it has worked for everybody and nobody's been screwed and nobody has either, hey, not had it work or B, been double charged or triple charged or anything like that. So that is good to know. That
it's just a bug that we encountered by adding a new tier because once you subscribe to 10, all of the future $5 stuff, no one has had an issue with. It's the old $5 stuff. So to fix that bug, you just downgrade it and upgrade again, and you don't get charged. It doesn't do anything to your account. It's just because you've already paid the 10. So when you downgrade and then immediately upgrade up, you're not getting charged because they've already taken your money for that 10. So that's the fix. It works. That's the solution. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's okay if I can't see the old stuff. No, bullshit. You're paying for it. So,
yeah, right. You want to have that ability to go back if you want to listen to an old fucking Death's Door episode where I talk about old WCW or an old school Joe Ever Remember. Yeah, no, you fucking pay for this. Get your money's worth.
Yeah, and there's so much evergreen stuff behind that paywall. I mean, you're not going to go listen to old news updates, but all that evergreen stuff you paid for and you're entitled to listen to, and I want you to be able to listen to it. So do that fix and don't stay quiet. If you're having a problem, let us know. And if I can't fix it, then I will direct you to I will put you in all the emails to support, and we'll do everything we can. And I'm more than willing to give you your money back until we can work it out. So don't be quiet about it. Be vocal. Let us know, and we'll help you get through it.
All right, let's get to the other topics we have on the show. We got two big tournaments going on in the world of wrestling. Dragon Gate's King of Gate tournament is ongoing, and AAA's Lucha Fighter tournament just actually wrapped up. Joe, which one do you want to start with? What one's got you excited? Because we've seen most of both of these, or I've seen all of King of Gate. I've seen most of Lucha Fighter. I think, have you seen all of everything?
I have seen all of Lucha Fighter and most of King of Gate.
There we go.
We have
okay.
Everything covered.
Yeah, perfect. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's do, I mean, I think Lucha Fighter is like way better.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go with that then.
So let's start with that because I have not enjoyed King of Gate at all, but we'll save that for the back end. I think we have about 15 minutes for each because we have about a half hour left.
Yeah.
So that should be plenty of time. Lucha Fighter was spread out between 4 weeks. They filmed it on April 18th Not either here nor there, but that's the birthday of my ex who planted that fucking bush in the backyard that I talked about earlier. So happy birthday.
Just send her. You didn't send her a text. You didn't say, give her a little birthday cake emoji text. You didn't.
Okay, no bad blood, but not one that I talked.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm that way too. So.
And also, I'm married now. It's not good form to still talk. There was a couple I still talk to, but since we weren't what I would consider friends, you kind of cut it out.
Yeah,
when
for
you're
sure.
married, it's you know what I mean.
Well, I got in trouble a few years ago because one of my exes texted me a happy birthday. I have no idea when her birthday is. It's one of those where I'm like, why do you remember my birthday? I have no clue when your birthday was. So she always texts me, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then there was one night where I was talking back and forth a little bit of hey, how's it going? She had just had a kid. I'm like, how's a kid? All that sort of stuff. And Michelle's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, Chris, whatever. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not that. I'm trying to, Yeah. I was like, look, you can see the messages. It's me. I'm not. I don't care. Yeah. I don't want that anymore. I'm good. I've moved on. But it's always kind of tricky to.
You're just humoring her with her dopey baby, and it's
right. How's the baby? How's the kids? And then she's like, "Oh, my dad got divorced." I'm like, I don't care. Okay, yeah. All right. It's you don't want to just totally be like, fuck off. I don't care. Because it wasn't that. It wasn't that sort of hey, fuck off breakup. So I'm like, that's bad. And your new, my dad's new, girlfriend doesn't let him talk to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm just I don't care.
Now you're getting roped. Now you're getting roped into her life.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was just all right. I forget what I did. I think I just didn't respond, and then she didn't wish me a happy birthday the next year. So that's good. So that's fine. That's good. We're
gone
good.
Forever.
That's
perfect
fine.
Situation.
That's exactly what I wanted. So that's no problem.
So. Filmed on April 18th, and then they aired it over the course of 4 weeks on their YouTube channel. This was 3 tournaments at once. You had your minis, you had your women, and then you had your dudes. And the dudes were, what was that, a 16-man tournament, I think? And
yes, I believe that's the case.
Yeah, the minis was a little 4-man tournament. I didn't mean a little 4-man. I meant.
You meant in terms of the number of participants in the tournament, not the height of the members of the tournament.
You know what? Just fucking cancel me again. What does it matter at this point?
Cancel me. I'm already canceled, so that's fine.
Cancel these nuts. How about that?
That's the awesome Ric Flair line. The fire me, I'm already fired. When he's yelling at Eric Bischoff, that's where you're at. Cancel me, I'm already canceled. So,
exactly.
Right.
I meant the tournament was little because there was only 4 guys in it. But let's face it, there's 4 fucking midgets in the thing. They're little too. Okay, so it's a 4-man minis tournament, 16 dudes, and I think it was 8 women, if I'm not mistaken. So they had 3 tournaments going on at once over the course of 4 weeks. I thought this was a shit ton of fun. And I thought there were a couple legitimately great matches in this thing too. As we go through day by day. Rich, did you watch day by day? What haven't you seen? The final day or
so I've actually seen. So what I did is I watched I watched all of the first round. I watched every single match in the first round. Then I was a little pressed for time. So what I did is Ricardo Gallegos on our website did a great guide for Lucha during quarantine. I'll put a link in the description as well. And he gave recommended matches for each of the nights. So what I then did moving forward, I was like, look, there's no way I'm gonna be able to finish all these matches moving forward. So what I'm gonna do is I watched the entire first night. I knew all the participants. I knew everybody that was in there. And then I watched just kind of the recommended match on each night. And that helped me get through the bit. So I've seen I obviously saw the final. I saw one of the semifinals. I saw 2 of the quarterfinals. So I saw a lot. I just didn't see everything else that went on in the tournament because.
Okay, so we can talk about everything then. Because, you basically saw all the key stuff and you saw the final and you know who won everything. And I'm desperately stalling because I'm waiting for a page to load. I hate this fucking shit. When I click a page, it just load because I'm trying to talk about this and I don't know what I'm looking at here. That is I
have, if you want, a cage match actually very nicely has the entire tournament listed if you want. So I can
yeah, but the events are
no, there you go.
Order.
No. Oh, I see what you're saying. But
all right, so you got to click. Okay, so day 1. All right, here we go. I'm all set. It took forever to load up, but we'll just give thoughts on each day. How about that?
Let's do that.
That's a good way to do it. Day 1, I thought it started off great because I thought that Dinastia versus Octagoncito match was phenomenal.
Oh,
I thought
fucking great. Yeah, that's my match of the tournament. That's my favorite match of the entire tournament so far. That was fucking great.
This was my match of the tournament until like the third or fourth day. We'll talk about the match that overtook it. But it's still my second favorite match of the tournament, that Dinastia Octagoncito. I thought they took tremendous bumps. Dinastia is great. Didn't he win Observer Rookie of the Year a couple years ago?
I'm trying to remember. I've kind of lost track of that Rookie of the Year.
He either won it or finished like top 3 in, I want to say, like 2014 or 15. But, he's a guy that's always impressive, and I hadn't seen him in a while, but he was very good in this match. And Octagoncito, I feel like this has to be like the 9th different version of Octagoncito. I've been watching Octagoncitos since legitimately like 1994. Like I feel like there have been that many Octagoncitos running around. But this guy was pretty good.
He won in 2012. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine. Jeez, look at these names. 2010, Adam Cole. 2011, Daichi Hashimoto. 2012, Dinastia. And then 2013, Yohei Komatsu. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
2012, that's a long-ass time ago, man.
Yeah, so we're talking 8 years ago, but he's very good. And that was, as I recall, well-earned that year. I thought he was excellent that year, and I think we talked about him in the early days of the flagship at that time, too, being impressed with him. But he beat Octagoncito to move on in what I thought was the best match of the first day and the best match of the whole tournament until we got to Vikingo versus Pentagon.
Yeah, that's definitely my solid number 2 for sure. I wanted to like that one a little bit more, but I was kind of left saying, nah, that opener was still a little bit better. But no, those are my top 2 for sure, same as you. So
yeah, we'll hold off on that one. But the Laredo Boy beat Drago Kid in the other mini semifinal, so they got that out of the way quickly. And then the rest of the first day, I mean, the matches were all like 6 minutes long and easy. I found this tournament very easy to watch after the fact because there was so much downtime. The files are 2 hours long, but the matches are all short. And since I don't understand Spanish anyway, there's no point watching the in-between. Right.
I did that when the episode 1 was going on. I was like an hour and a half in, and I'm like, why am I watching these segments? I'm sitting here watching like these dudes on a studio set be like, yeah, and they're just talking. I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what's going on. Why am I not skipping this? And then I realized I should just skip forward. Much easier. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've got like Maximo Sexy giving his thoughts.
Right, I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, what am I doing?
I don't know what the fuck he's saying anyway.
I don't know any word. I know no Spanish. What am I doing?
Yeah, so, there wasn't much to the first day. The only thing that jumped out at me the first day was, and I didn't know this, but they're not using licensed music anymore. So you got Dr. Wagner Jr. coming out. Where's the fucking Bon Jovi? Where's Bad Medicine? I'm irate. He's got some Muzak version of Bad Medicine with like different words. And I'm just so offended by this. And then you get to the end of the show. Have you heard Psycho Clown's new entrance music?
I did, yeah.
Has it been stuck in your head since because it's so bad?
It's not great. Yeah, and there was no fire, and that kind of made me upset as well. I don't know if I hated it as much as you did, but it wasn't good. That's for sure.
I cannot take the new Psycho Clown music. It's very bad. But Dr. Wagner Jr. losing Bad Medicine, that's a hit. I mean, this is like that hurt me on a level of going to that first Ring of Honor television taping during the HD Net era and getting generic rock songs for everybody instead of the licensed music. It just hit me in my soul. But that was day 1. So we'll move on to day 2 with 2 of the worst women's matches you'll ever see. I don't know if you watched these.
I did not. No, I skipped these over. So I guess I did a good thing by skipping those. Because the women's match on night 1 was great. I thought that was an awesome match between the 2 women on night 1.
The women's matches on night 1 blew away the women's matches on night 2. Which is where we got that's Big Mami versus Vanilla, and then Lady Maravilla versus Kira. Lady Shani versus Fabi Apache was okay, but the first 2 were really bad. Big Mami, I don't know. People are going to get mad at me, but she stinks.
She's fun in like an 8-man tag on the undercard of a Triple Mania or whatever, but yeah, on a one-on-one aspect, it's not that interesting or fun. So.
It's a fun prelim act, and people got mad at me the last time I said that. But when you look at Big Mommy's match history, she always works the opener. The only time she didn't work the opener is when she had the big feud blow off at the end of the Hamburguesa thing last year. Other than that, her matches are always the opener. I don't know why people got mad at me when I called her a popular prelim level act. That's what she is. And I mean, she's not out there having 5-star classics. And the act is a little cringe to me. I don't know. I'm not into Big Mommy. She's never done it for me. I don't know. And this match wasn't any good. The rest of this day was okay. You had some more first-round matches with the men, with Chessman defeating Mr. C's Jr. That was a little bit of a surprise to me. L.A. Park beat Laredo Kid. That was a pretty good match.
Yeah, I watched that one. That was really good. I thought Park, for a guy who has a reputation as just being kind of a brawler and kind of a walk and brawl dude, he was there neck and neck with Laredo Kid the entire match. I thought that was a really impressive performance by Park, who didn't need to bust his ass on these shows, and I thought did a pretty good job, particularly in this match.
And I think he's banged up too, so give him credit. Park was one of the MVPs of the whole tournament.
Oh, he was great. Yeah, I don't know why he was putting so much effort here, but hey, good for him, man. It was awesome.
Park, Pentagon, Dinastia, to me, were the three real standouts of the tournament. Pagano beat Octagon Jr., and then Pentagon Jr. beat Hamburguesa. I didn't like that match, but I liked, because Hamburguesa's no good either, but I liked the way they worked it in that Pentagon Jr. was just basically bullying him and beating the shit out of him. And Hamburguesa was like yelling with these shrieks.
Yeah, it was actually uncomfortable at certain points. I had my windows open and I'm listening kind of loud or whatever, and I see my neighbor in the other room, and I'm like, I turn these down a little bit. Like, he's probably like, what are you watching over there? It's like,
so he made a little bit of a comeback, but then Pentagon put him away. I say I didn't like it, but actually, now that I'm talking myself through it, I kind of liked it more.
It was good. It wasn't like a standout. It's like not a match that I would say you absolutely have to watch in the tournament. Well, I guess it would be a match you have to watch in the tournament, because I think it was an important match in telling the story of Pentagon, and it's over pretty quick. It's like none of these matches were more than 9 or 10 minutes long or whatever. But no, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I checked it out. But yeah, it's not like, I don't think it's one of the top 5 matches of the entire tournament, but solid.
It told a good story. The match did tell a good story. So you go to day 3, which is the semifinals of the ladies, and then the quarterfinals of the men. This is where we got the Pentagon Jr. El Hijo del Vikingo match, which is the one that I would call an absolute must-see match. And I guess since Rich thought the Dinastia Octagoncito match was better, you would call that a must-see match as well. And that was my number 2 match. So if you really don't want to go through all of this, I would say the 2 matches you have to watch would be Pentagon Jr. versus Vikingo for sure. I mean, that fucking ruled. And the mini match, the opener of day 1, I thought I went about 3 3/4 on the mini, and this to me was a notebook match, Pentagon versus Vikingo. This fucking ruled. Vikingo is so good.
Oh my God. The entire time he's watching, I'm just like, this dude, like, if I was running a company, you'd really have to, like, if I was at the table, you'd really have to be like, Rich, no, we can't give him our championship. No, we can't build the company around him. But he's so good. Like, dude, he's unbelievable. He's like, I promise you. Okay, I'm doing it again. But like, if you put that dude in front of a fucking audience, like, people are going to buy shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's so good. He's jump off the page good. He's tell your friends he's good. You know, like, every time I see him. And, like, you think at this point, it's 2020. I'm doing it again. You think it's 2020, and, like, we've seen everything, and then you see this dude, and you're like, oh, he's better than anybody I've ever seen. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
his flying is ridiculous. His offense is unbelievable.
He works at another speed and another level than most of the other guys in this tournament. And a lot of the other guys in this tournament are really good pro wrestlers.
Yeah. Oh, no, and you can tell he's a leap and bound above those guys, and that's nothing against those dudes. Like, he's in there with Pentagon, and you're left going, Pentagon's good, but dude, who's that dude? That guy's fucking incredible. Like, you'd have to talk off the ledge, man, because I'm ready to just push him to the moon. He looks like $1 million. The gear looks great. Like, I think he's fucking tremendous.
You even compare him to other guys in his style. Like, you watch Laredo Kid, and you're like, that guy's really fucking good. I could watch Laredo Kid every fucking. And then you watch Vikingo, and it's like, oh, well, he's just like so much better. Right. Like. And that's not even meant to be an insult to, like, Laredo Kid, who was in this thing.
No, I mean, Vikingo is in that Rey Mysterio territory, where I'm like, the first time you see Rey Mysterio, and you're like, who the fuck, and what is going on, and that guy's going to revolutionize wrestling. Like, I'm actually, I mean, I know that, like, obviously there's other circumstances, but I would not be surprised if in the next few years that dude's, like, one of the biggest stars in wrestling. But we'll see.
Yeah, so the women's matches were an improvement on day 2, I thought, but still weren't anything special. The clear standout was Pentagon. Pentagon had a great tournament. I thought he was probably the best overall wrestler in the tournament in terms of match quality, because he had the great match against Vikingo, and then he had, great stuff we'll talk about later, or very good stuff we'll talk about later. But also in like his story of the tournament, like coming out and bullying Hamburguesa, and then just the way he worked in the tournament as well. It wasn't just about match quality with him.
He felt the most important. Like, some of these guys felt like they were just doing their job and going out there and participating in a tournament. Everything that he did felt important and felt meaningful and big and main event style and that sort of stuff. So I think, that's where I definitely got the same vibe from Pentagon as watching through all of his matches.
So we got to the nitty gritty here because Psycho Clown beat Tejano. That match I thought told a nice story where he was working over Psycho Clown's arm. And then Chessman beat Pagano. We talked about Pentagon eliminating Vikingo, and Park beat Dr. Wagner Jr. in the main event, which, they gave away a lot of big matches in this tournament.
I was wondering that. I was going to question, was there a reason why they did it? Because I'm looking up and down the card, and, before I even was going to watch and picking out matches I wanted to see, and I was like, holy shit, there's some, top tier matches here. Is that, did they just want to get as many people watching this thing as possible or something? I don't know. It seemed kind of surprised that they were...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even really necessarily being critical. Because it made for a really great tournament.
Right, I don't care. I mean, I loved it, but I just found it kind of interesting for sure.
This was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed all of this way more than I thought I was going to. So the final night, we get the minis final, and we get the women's final, and then the male semis and final. So 5 matches. The mini final was Dinastia over Laredo Boy. Remember, we haven't seen these guys since the first night. Right? So it's the first week, rather. These ran one a week, even though they were all filmed, I think, the same day. So that was a nice little match. I mean, they only went 5 minutes, but I thought Dinastia, who ended up winning the tournament, was one of the clear standouts of the whole deal. And then Lady Shani won the women's side over La Hiedra. It was fine. But I want to talk about the men here because the semifinals, we had Psycho Clown beating Chessman, which was very predictable. But then Pentagon Jr. and LA Park, I mean, I didn't know where they were going to go with that, Also considering that's another big match. And then either way you go, you're going to have a big match in the final. But I thought Pentagon Jr. and Park had a really good match. And then, they went with Pentagon. And then I was stunned when he beat Psycho Clown in the final. Like, I don't know if I should have been. I follow AAA loosely. I mean, I follow it close enough to know what's going on and who's slotted where. But I don't know if this sets something up down the line, but I really thought Psycho Clown was going to win the whole tournament. Psycho Clown's their guy. I mean, he wins
Right.
And, and it's like, and that was a pretty good match with a good finish and a shocking finish for me. But how much of this final day did you see?
So I saw the Pentagon LA Park match, which I thought was pretty entertaining. Like there were some parts that I didn't love in it, but I thought for the most part pretty entertaining. It felt like a big time match.
The finish was like they did all the bullshit ref stuff and everything. And I'm never going to be into that, but like the work itself was fine and it was interesting. But the ref stuff and all that. That's for the fucking birds. I have no use. But that's Lucha. You have to deal with
exactly, right. And that's kind of what I went in and saying, hey, I still enjoyed, 90% of that match. I just didn't like the finish of the last part of it. But the men's final, really, really good stuff. I mean, it's so hard to make matches feel important or feel weighty with the empty arenas. But they found a way to do that. I really, while the match is going on, I'm like, this is a big time match. This is like the tournament final. This feels like it's got, it's 2 big stars. It's Psycho Clown versus Pentagon. We've seen Pentagon, work his way through this tournament. Psycho Clown's the dude. He's the man being pushed right now. So it's so rare that you can do that, during this time, but I thought they did a great job of making it feel important, feel like a big deal. And it was a really good back and forth match. Like this is one of, I said that I liked the opener of the entire tournament. The mini opener was my favorite match of the tournament, but I put this in the upper echelon of all matches I've seen empty arena wise so far this year. Like it had an atmosphere that a lot of empty arena matches don't have. So credit to them on that. I really, really thought it was a good match, and it felt important. It's one of those matches where as you're watching it, you kind of forget that there's no one there in the crowd, because I think they did a good job making the work just feel like it was a big deal, despite all the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put Pentagon as my tournament MVP. I'd put maybe Dinastia or LA Park second, probably Park. I mean, he worked more matches and all that, but those would be my top 3 with Pentagon first. And I'd put Psycho Clown fourth. I thought he was solid throughout the whole tournament. I didn't really like the women's stuff. I mean, it was fine. It was mostly fine except for day 2. I thought day 2, the women's matches were really bad. Like legitimately bad wrestling matches. But otherwise, other than that, this was easy to watch. It was fun. And you nailed on a great point. As it progressed and we got deeper into it, the matches felt big. They found a way to make this final feel big. The semifinals felt big because they gave us big matchups and the wrestlers worked hard. And it was a dynamic where the matches felt important and felt big. And I felt like I was watching big time stuff. So, and again, what's been the formula empty arena? A big key component, short matches.
Yep.
They didn't go out there like Noah and try to give us 30-minute matches, 27-minute matches.
Right. Every single, so the final was 10. 7 minutes in the semifinal, 9 minutes in another semifinal, 6, 7, 9, 8, 6, 7, 6, 8, 7, 10, 4, 8. Yeah, there we go. That's how you do it. Jesus Christ. Tell
us the story, give us the match, and don't give us a chance to be bored because there's no crowd. You know, the 2 longest matches in this tournament were 10 minutes long. Everything else was sub 10 minutes. One of the finals was 5 minutes. The mini final was 5.5 minutes. Mini men, mini tournament, mini final. Yeah, they went 5.5 minutes. None of this overstayed its welcome. So I think that's a big part of it too. They went in there and these matches told stories too. You know, a lot of them told stories that we've talked about as we've gone through it. So it's not like they just went out there for 6 minutes and fucked around and went to the finish either. You know, because some of these matches did tell very interesting stories.
Yeah.
Whether it was Psycho Clown getting his arm worked over in the one match, or whether it was Pentagon bullying Hamburguesa. The women's matches, I didn't care for them all that much, but there was a running theme in those matches as well. So, man, I expected to casually enjoy this the way I usually casually enjoy AAA, but it was something more for me. I really genuinely enjoyed this way more than I thought I would from start to finish. And I could actually highly recommend it to the listener. I think, especially the matches that we've praised, I think those 2 or 3 matches are well worth going out of your way for.
Yeah, everything's free on YouTube as well. I would definitely recommend Ricardo Gallegos on our website. The name of the title of the piece, as I said, I'll link it, but if I forget or whatever, Your Guide to Empty Arena Lucha During Quarantine is the name of the column, and every video is embedded there, so you can follow along as he's watching it and gives his recommendations, gives a little bit of background, and they're all right there. And like we said, the file is daunting. You look and you go 2 hours. Oh, Jesus Christ! But yeah, really, there's 9 minutes of wrestling, in little short spurts, and then you can forward ahead a little, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, go to the next 9 minutes, 15 minutes, you pass over all the junk, another 9 minutes. It's a really, really easy watch if you want to. Yeah, and all the videos are right there, and they're all free for you on YouTube, so.
Yeah. What did you think of the scientists from E.T. sanitizing the ring between them?
I love the zoom ins too. They're like zooming in as he's spraying the ropes, and I'm like, okay, I got it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I appreciate it, but you don't have to show me. Like, I get it. But yeah, the whole Lucha Fighter, it starts out with like, these 3 dudes walking in the hallway spraying shit, and you're like, what is going on? Like, am I watching Lucha? Or I love the scientist from ET is perfect. Yeah,
they're
wearing
wrapped up like
hazmat
astronauts.
suits.
Yeah. And with their spray bottles of sanitizer, like they're using dangerous chemicals. It's spray bottles with sanitizer, and they're wrapped up like astronauts. I'm waiting to see like if Elliot is in the back in a bubble or something. It looked like the fucking scene from the end of ET. I don't know if that was like for effect or if they were like being serious about that, but it just cracked me up. But that was Lucha Fighter. Good stuff.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Again, it's all free on YouTube. Your Guide to Empty Arena Lucha During Quarantine at Voices of Wrestling. Great opportunity to watch along with that. Well, also speaking of stuff. Go ahead.
There's not a lot of time for King of Gate, but honestly, I got to be honest. I don't have a lot of thoughts about it. I watched all of the first round matches with the exception of, I think I have 1 match left in the first round. And I know that 2 of the semifinal matches were released recently. Now,
this morning.
Yeah. So I've seen, what is there? There's 24 men, so 12 matches. I've seen 11 matches. And Rich, honest to God, I don't have a compelling thought about any of them. I thought this is the driest, most boring, uninteresting first round of a tournament. I mean, I don't have a take for you.
That's fine. I know. I was kind of, because last week I was so hyped for this tournament. I'm like, Joe, there's a tournament, there's stakes, it's Dragon Gate. Because I think Dragon Gate so far has, before this tournament, was doing the, All Japan I think is my number one. AAA's now moved up pretty high on the ladder in terms of like how to present empty arena wrestling. AEW does a pretty good job. I thought Dragon Gate's, Sambo Hall shows where they had all the, the Dragon Gate guys in the crowd and they were split up by units or split up by, generations or whatever. I thought that shit was really, really cool. And they made a lot of noise and the arena looked good and it looked like a fun atmosphere. Well, now these are just studio shows with just no life to them whatsoever. So I have not liked the way they presented these King of Gate. And I'm kind of with you, man. There's some matches that have really stood out to me that I've enjoyed. But, man, by and large, it's been a pretty... I'm glad the first round's over because now there's not as many, matches to watch. But, yeah, I kind of sat down and said, here we go, King of Gate, let's do this. And yeah, watching through these, they have not hit me on a level that's very good. I mean, Case, I think, has done a great job with our reviews at voicesofwrestling.com. But, yeah, I mean, other than like matches that have really stood out to me that I'll say if you want to watch these and want to, kind of check out these shows, Yamato versus Saito from night one, definitely recommend that one. 13 minutes though, like again, these have been a little bit longer. Some of these matches have gotten a little long in the tooth, which for being in a warehouse is not the best idea. But yeah, go ahead.
I hear you. They've been easy to watch to me though. I don't think any of the matches have really overstayed their welcome. I mean, they're all broken down in the individual match file, and none of the files are longer than like 15, 16 minutes, right? So it's like, but a couple of them, like you're saying, have gotten. But then there's a couple matches that are like 6 minutes.
Right, they're just dry as hell. That's the only problem. It's like the content of them there's not much going on, and yeah, that's why I wish they had done back like what they did with Sambo Hall, where like the crowd was the wrestlers or whatever, and they would cheer and boo, and they interact a little bit because you got guys coming out here, you got Dragon Kid coming out here like gesturing to the crowd that's not there. And KZ's doing his freestyle, and you're like, all right, dude, get in the ring. Like, let's go. There's no one here. Let's get out with the wrestling. Let's go. And that kind of stuff kind of sucks. Or you have Red coming out and beating up a guy, or they're doing crowd brawling, and you're like, guys, come on. Like, there's no one here. Let's just let have some hot wrestling for 9 minutes, and get out of there. Dragon Gate seems like they would do the best in this sort of thing, and that's why the Sambo Hall shows were so good, because Dragon Gate they didn't do as much of the bullshit. They just kind of got down to business, and the workers of Dragon Gate are so good that you don't need to do all that bullshit. But for some reason in this King of Gate, they have kind of steered away from that. But yeah, night one or the 15th I think was night one. Yamato versus Ryo Saito, really really good match. Definitely recommend checking that one out. And I like the main event of that night too, the Santa Maria versus Susumu. Pretty good stuff there where Santa Maria just kind of outworked Susumu. She just rolled him up out of nowhere and kind of proved, not out of nowhere, but they had been jostling back and forth in a hold, and Santa Maria got the pin, and it was one of those moments where like Susumu wasn't like, damn, it was more like, damn, I should have won that match and I just didn't, and you were just a better person on this night or whatever. So I enjoyed that, and that was a cool-ish story, but yeah, not much that you really needed to go out of your way to check out. Night 2, man, I don't know if I'd recommend anything on Night 2, to be honest. I think the Okuda BB Hulk match was, I guess, cool because Okuda...
Oh, God, BB Hulk stinks.
Yeah, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to bring this up. I think Okuda's cool. BB Hulk, man, you gotta retire or something. He was so terrible in this match. You would never believe that this guy was ever good. He looked like an indie scummer, and he wrestled like an indie scummer. He looked like...
He's done.
He looked like he had never wrestled before, and it's like, dude... you have a leg, like, it's time to go. I mean, he was missing kicks, he was mistiming shit, like, he was awful in this match, so bad.
He's done. He's washed up.
Yeah,
he's finished.
It was pretty revealing there. And then you see Okuda, a young guy who I think is pretty solid, and he's in there working, like, he's leading the match, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, this guy's been in wrestling for 2 years or whatever, and he's like leading BB Hulk through this entire match. So yeah, it's time to maybe hang up the red boots there, BB Hulk. But yeah, nothing else that I really liked on night 2. I don't know about you, if you had any different thoughts.
I think every single match, all 11 that I've seen, were 2-star specials. I didn't like anything in this tournament yet.
That's fair. Night 3, Eita Strong Machine J, I actually thought was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. Nice little story being told by those. Eita getting the win there. Otherwise, not much else. I had to watch fucking Kazuma Sakamoto go 15 minutes with Mochizuki and win. Did not like that very much. Yeah, there's nothing else on night 3 that I really enjoyed. And then the semifinals you have not seen so far. Yamato KZ, I think you will like. Probably my favorite match so far in the tournament, so I would definitely recommend checking that one out. And Diamante versus Santa Maria, was the other match on that second round, night 4. And that was okay, but I think Yamato KZ was definitely a standout. So I definitely check that one out if you get a chance. But
Diamante beating Dragon Kid and Mochizuki losing to Kazuma Sakamoto. It is just a new era. I mean,
I don't know what's going on there. It's tough.
But I'll keep watching it because I think they're easy watches. But I don't know. The matches weren't. I don't think any of the matches were bad. I think the work is good. They're just nothing matches to me. So hopefully the later rounds improve.
Yeah, the atmosphere is really dry too, and it's like the problem is it kind of lulls you in because everything is exactly the same. It's like you click the video file, the ring announcer guy says, does his little introduction. The guy comes out, the guy does his gesturing to the crowd. He gets in the ring, and then they have a match in front of in a warehouse or whatever. And it's especially when we're watching it the way we're watching it, it's really a grind, man. Because I watched 12 of the matches in one day, and I'm like, oh god, my eyes were kind of glazing over a little bit. So that was that. But we have about 10 minutes left. Do you want to do the Owen Hart thing real quick, or do you want to save it for another night?
We have 10.
We got 10.
If we have 10, we may as well do it. I don't have a ton of thoughts other than I just think I watched Dark Side and I listened to Martha Hart with Dave and Jim Valley, and she just comes across dignified and classy. And I have a hard time. I'm struggling disagreeing with any of her stances on any of this. Her children look well-adjusted and mature, and it seems to me that she's raised incredible children. The entire family just seems – I don't know how this is going to come across. They don't come across like hearts. I mean, they just seem so the children seem well raised and intelligent and on the right path.
The way you're saying it sounds like it's demeaning, but if you know the Harts, Bruce, Brett to this day is still they're wrestlers, man. You know what I mean? They live and die by this thing. This wrestling thing, and it's their entire lives, and it obsesses them, and they're marks for admiration, and they're marks for people thinking they're great. And I love that about Bret Hart. It's one of my favorite aspects about Bret Hart, that he takes it too seriously. And Bruce is psychotic and always trying to kind of worm his way into stories or whatnot. But that's the family. That's kind of what they are. And you're right. Oj is wrestling, who cares? I don't give a shit. And it's all right. You're not used to that in wrestling families. It's you're kind of hoping that he's I'm going to go in the ring and I'm going to honor my dad and all that sort of stuff. And he's I'm going to be a lawyer. It's cool. And you're oh, all right. And Martha's I'm a doctor and I have a foundation. That's all right. We don't need the Hall of Fame. We're good.
Yeah, the big thing is in relation to the Hall of Fame and her relationship with WWE is she just does not come across like a mark. She's not a mark.
Right. And they've tried. Oh my God, if they try to make her a mark. Hey, here's this, or here's a plaque. They don't want a fucking plaque. They don't give a shit.
Family is just not moved. They are not moved by any of that. They're not marks.
Want a crowd going, yeah, Owen. They don't give a shit.
Their negligence, and others as well, not just them, but their negligence resulted in her losing her husband and those kids losing their father. And the one thing a lot of people love to say is Martha Hart is bitter.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
She's bitter, and she's,
she wants revenge. She's bitter and wants revenge.
I think that, bitter is an okay emotion to have towards the WWE.
Oh, I'd be bitter forever. I'm bitter. They killed one of my favorite wrestlers. You know what I mean? Of Owen Hart. She's, how admirable is it that she's not bitter like that?
Yeah, and I didn't even have a problem with her being bitter. If you want to call her bitter, why shouldn't she be? Their negligence killed her husband. So I don't even think necessarily that's – people treat that like it's an insult, like they're insulting her, and I don't even see that as an insult. But she doesn't even she doesn't come across bitter in the way that people are saying that she's bitter. She comes across bitter in the sense that they killed her husband.
Right. I wish you wouldn't have killed my husband. Yeah.
And if that's not a legitimate emotion, then I don't know what is. That Dark Side was very hard to watch at points, and you relate it because you relate it to the people that you love and the people that and your family and your wife and your kids or whatever the fuck. And it hit you hard. And I think that she and her children are so incredibly well adjusted after all of this, when these kind of situations can easily veer the other way. children growing up without a father from a very young age. That poor girl was 3 years old. She's got one memory of her father, and that's going to the zoo.
Yeah,
and if that doesn't well up your eyes, then you're inhuman. Then you're inhuman. You know, and that one experience that she remembers with her father has kind of driven her life, because now she's into sort of these animal, you know, she's an animal activist and all this, and
horseback riding. She got into horseback riding and stuff.
Yeah, and then she writes for an animal magazine and things. So it's like that resonated with her, and she's used that one memory she has of this man. And in some ways, that memory may even be partially manufactured. And it's like she's taken that, and it's helped drive her life into a positive way. And it's like, and the kid, I can't pronounce his name.
Oj is how you
Oh, it's an easy one.
Yeah.
Oj. I see. I would have said Oji. And you got Oj, and, you know, he's on his path to becoming a lawyer, or he already is a lawyer.
Yeah, human rights law too, which is really cool as well.
Yeah,
Again,
I mean,
like both these, she's like, he took me to the zoo, and I love that, so I love animals. And he's like, well, you know, human rights are important, especially when, you know, your father gets, you know, sort of forced into doing something that killed him. So I'm gonna get a master's degree in human rights law. So,
and then
awesome.
Martha improving her life as well after all of that happens, and becoming earning a doctorate and starting that foundation, and buying people homes and teaching them how to be fiscally responsible. They all have a purpose in their life now. And who knows if their lives would have went in that direction, you know, even if he lived, which shows you that the tragedy that they had to endure is how, you know, they took it and it helped them move in, all three of them, in a positive direction. And it's so rare that happens. It can so easily go the other way. You know, that I was so impressed. We've talked about Darkseid and how I never learned anything. I learned something here.
Yeah.
I had no idea how impressive this family was.
I never knew about the Owen Hart Foundation. Like,
this.
literally, that was the day I learned about the Owen Hart Foundation. I never knew that she did that, and I loved Darkseid did a great job. Whereas Oj is talking about, you know, having, you know, the WWE inscribe his name on a piece of silver. He goes, we don't need that because we already give plaques that has his name on it, and they cut to them putting a plaque of the Owen Hart Foundation on someone's house. And it's like, oh my God, you realize how fucking dumb wrestling is. You know what I mean? Like how dumb, like there's been years of people like, you put him in the Hall of Fame because we want to chant Owen Hart. And it's like, you idiots, here's his legacy. There's his name on someone's house that they just bought for them. You fucking dorks, who cares about a Hall of Fame?
And it's important to note, too, I think this is important, that Martha Hart isn't even anti-wrestling because she has accepted other Hall of Fames. Happily.
Yeah, Waterloo Hall of Fame, that main wrestling Hall of Fame. Yeah, she's fine with that.
And understands that that's honoring him, and she respects his fans. If you heard her with Dave, you know, and all of that. It's that company she refuses to accept and is rightfully bitter towards. And I have no problem with that. You want to use the word bitter? Fine. I have no problem with her being bitter towards the company that killed her husband. Are you kidding me? It's fine. And I'm glad that they're never accepting that dopey fake Hall of Fame. And not giving them, because that's giving them the satisfaction. And if you're a fan who thinks that's the way he needs to be honored for you, you're selfish. You can watch his matches. Go watch his matches. Who's stopping you? Who is stopping you from watching his matches? You, if as a fan, you need that stupid moment at a WrestleMania weekend to justify your fanhood for this man, then you're the problem. What do you need that for? You're the selfish one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so incredibly
Martha
selfish.
and the kids aren't selfish for not wanting him to have WWE sell tickets to honor him. You know, yeah, fuck off.
And nothing will earn less respect from me than having that stance. That she's in the wrong, and they need to put him in they need to allow him to be in this dopey Hall of Fame. Nothing. There are few things in wrestling related that will have me lose respect for any other opinion that you might have on anything.
Right. I've long held that opinion. I've long thought like it's ridiculous. Who the fuck cares? And that's like the stance of you know, you and I and most of the people on this website. It's like, it's ridiculous. The Hall of Fame is stupid, and any time spent talking about it is beyond stupid. The Hart thing always got me. And then after watching this, and I put that tweet out, if you even for one fucking second of your life waste time thinking about Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame ever again, stop. Just stop and realize that you're the problem, because this family doesn't care. They don't need it. They don't want it. And frankly, yeah, the only person that wants it or needs it is you and Vince McMahon, the people that need it and want it. But the people that really, that cared about Owen and lived with Owen and his family, they don't give two fucking shits about this.
Yeah. Vince McMahon to clear his conscience and win again. And you as a selfish motherfucker. Those are the only people that need that. No one else on earth needs him in that stupid Hall of Fame. You want him in a Wrestling Hall of Fame? He's in 2 of them. You want to honor his career? Go watch his match. No one's stopping you.
Right. Go donate to the Owen Hart Foundation. Go donate to the foundation. And
a wonderful foundation that he can be remembered by if you're worried about his legacy.
And then they'll put his name on a plaque and they'll put it on a house that he helped build.
That people who never would have owned a home get a chance to live in with his name on the front fucking door if you're worried about his legacy. It's outrageous. And again, I need to emphasize that this woman is not bitter towards wrestling.
No.
She accepted those Hall of Fames, and did you hear her talking about wrestling with Meltzer? You could hear the smile in her voice.
Oh, she loves it. Yeah, I think she would, and I think, I don't know if she explicitly said that, but like the idea was like, hey, if New Japan or another company wants to honor him, yeah, I have no problem. So I would, if I'm like, I'm hearing that, and if I'm a few other companies, not to like pounce on this or whatever, but to realize that it's like a great opportunity to maybe raise even more money for this thing is, have an Owen Hart foundational show or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, because now is, I think, a time where a lot of people, their eyes are open and realize, oh, like, it's not that the Harts and Martha and Oj and these people hate pro wrestling and want nothing to do with pro wrestling. They like it. They just don't like WWF because why would they? So it's like, the door isn't closed on honoring, Owen Hart, quote unquote, honoring him in some wrestling form. The door's just closed in WWE to being the ones to do that, which is great. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, the son did say, and I thought this was a heavy statement. He's like, I'm mad at wrestling because if it wasn't for wrestling, my father would be alive.
Yeah.
If my father was doing something else, a fireman, whatever the fuck. And the other thing I learned here is that I always knew he wanted to be a fireman. I didn't know that where he lived, you had to have a college degree to be a fireman. And that was always the barrier. Like, he would pass every test, but he would always get passed over because they would pick guys that had college degrees ahead of him.
Right. And he couldn't just stop wrestling because he wouldn't make any money. So he was kind of caught. He was caught in it. He was like stuck in the cycle where you couldn't leave because he wasn't going to make any money, but he wanted to get out, but he couldn't get out to do what he wanted to do. And yeah, it sucks. It's awful.
Right. So that was tricky, because he was just that one little step away and he would never get picked because they would pick the guys with the college degrees where they'd be ahead in line. So, I didn't know that either. So this one, I did learn a little something and it was very good. And she was great with Meltzer and Jim Valley. She just comes across as such a classy, dignified, wonderful person. She does, and I was blown away by her grace and the class and the grace of her children. And that's really the best reflection on her is how her children come across. And they just come across so mature and well-adjusted and like they're great people. And there's really no other bigger compliment you could probably give a woman than that.
Absolutely. So that's, it was the highest rated episode of Dark Side of the Ring ever, by the way, which is an incredible number that it got as well. So it's cool that a lot of people checked it out. And if you haven't seen it, go out of your way to see it. It's far and away my favorite episode of Dark Side of the Ring ever. And like you said, it's one of those episodes that, like, when you hear Dark Side of the Ring, it's not, in a way it does, it talks about the story, but it does it in such a positive way. The way that you leave that story is positively, you know what I mean? Like, I left with a smile on my face. I don't know about you.
Which again is incredible. And
yeah, I wasn't sad. I wasn't like there was points in the show where I was sad, but when it was over, I was like, what's awesome? That family has moved on, and they've decided that they are gonna, that they're not gonna let this moment ruin the rest of their lives. Even though many people, like for me, it would ruin my life. If my dad died that way, my life is ruined forever. Yeah. And it's not that. And you leave a very interesting way, and that's why it's great as like a season finale of this as well, is you leave kind of being like, that's awesome, they've moved on, I'm so glad to see that. Like, there's a positivity that comes out of that episode, which is so, Dark Side of the Ring, and that's not, I'm not, saying that that's not that these guys are bad at doing it or whatever. Like, most of these episodes aren't meant to be cheery and happy and go lucky. It's like, hey, this is what fucking happened and it's awful.
You're crediting Martha Hart and her children as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm crediting the Dark Side of the Ring guys as well for, I think, telling a great story where they talk about the negativity of it, but they realize the hook of this episode is, look how this family has moved on from this dark moment. And that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's that, and that is this episode of the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. As we mentioned, immediately following Double or Nothing, tomorrow we will have a live instant reaction $10 tier. If you want to do that, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. A lot of good stuff on the website as well right now. A preview of Double or Nothing, the reviews of King of Gate, the Lucha Fighter thing that I mentioned as well with Ricardo Gallo. So a lot of good stuff going on there as well. Voicesofwrestling.com, voicesofwrestling.com, or Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, and also voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon if you want to discuss wrestling with all these fine folks here. So anyway, that is it for us. For Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll see you guys next time on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.